Coming in number 10, The Empty Seat. Lisa Marie spent many of her days at Graceland as it was her home and heart of Elvis Presley. And she loved the mansion so much because it immortalized the rock and roll legend. Lisa made no secret of her love of the special property that she was reared in and still called home. The late star was lent on the mountain of memories from her childhood to keep the Presley family traditions alive, and that's why she still visited the luxury property regularly to do things Elvis and her used to do. After being open to the public in 1982 and becoming the second most visited private house in America, it became hard for so many to believe that the inner workings of the house still functioned, but Lisa Marie ran a tight ship after inheriting her father's estate. While the kitchen appliances were said to still work, they would be turned off for fire safety, and when Lisa Marie and her family were there, the staff would fire them up so the family could have dinner in the mansion. When the tours wrapped up, Lisa Marie and her loved ones could clamor around the huge dining table for family dinners, and they would occasionally leave an empty seat on the end in honor of Elvis. It was almost like she hoped her dad would walk in through the doors and take a seat at the table. But Lisa Marie's favorite excuse to get together was the Thanksgiving holiday, so she could be with her nearest and dearest father. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Number 9, The Secret Gift. When Elvis Presley passed away on August 16, 1977, the world was in shock. Elvis' daughter Lisa was in the next room when her father passed away. Just being 9 years old at the time, the future singer was perhaps more overwhelmed than anyone else. Knowing that she couldn't just send her father off in a coffin without something special from her, she decided to place a special gift inside his coffin. While thousands of fans queued up to pay their final respects to Elvis, just before the doors opened to the venue, Priscilla and Lisa Marie would be escorted to where her father was laying. While the king was styled to look his best, looking upon her father for the final time, Lisa Marie would make one special request. Funeral director Robert Kendall recalled that Lisa asked him if he could give her gift to her father. Robert recalls that she held up this thin metal bracelet and that he agreed once her and Priscilla ensured it would not fall into the wrong hands. With thousands of fans outside, they feared someone would see the loose bangle on Elvis's wrist and take it as a souvenir, so Priscilla and Robert placed it on Elvis's wrist and tucked it underneath his shirt cuff to ensure no one would be able to take this precious gift given to him by Lisa Marie. Coming in at number 8, we have The Upstairs Room. For millions of fans who flock each year to Elvis Presley's Graceland estate, the home has become a place where they can truly get close to the king of rock and roll. However, Graceland was also a private home for Lisa Marie and her extended family. This is why the upstairs rooms remained off limits to tours of the house, which began in 1983. Lisa Marie will also admit that the upstairs rooms has this creepy shrine to a bygone era when her father was still alive. While all the rooms remained the same as Elvis had left them, Lisa would show off the upstairs rooms, including Graceland's secret room that holds a treasure trove of items. And the location of this exact room still remains a secret to the public. Behind the door that's marked employees only lies a room that no Graceland guest can visit. While the room is so secret, when Oprah's camera crew was allowed to tour the estate, they would have to turn off the camera until they were inside so no one would know the exact location. Inside the room lies treasures that have never been seen by the public. The room was made to be earthquake-proof, fire-proof, and tornado-proof. Items in the room include checks signed by the king of rock and roll, a majority of Elvis's costumes, and cabinets that housed over 60,000 photographs. Number 7. Struggles. Nearly 5 months after her passing, Lisa Marie Presley shared an essay she wrote about navigating grief following the heartbreaking passing of her son, Benjamin. Sources close to the star would exclusively tell the US Sun that the musician was leading a reclusive life and was struggling in the wake of her son's passing. Lisa struggled to find respite from the pain of losing Benjamin, and she found it really difficult to cope with, and this is why she barely left the house for months after his passing. While Lisa Marie looked for various ways to help her manage her feelings of grief and loss, she even started to go in and out of the Church of Scientology for many years as she was trying to find herself a new purpose. In spite of this, those close to her had concerns, and one insider even confessed that Lisa had been struggling so much over the years and living in her dad's shadow. Many who knew her feared that she would pass away at a young age. Lisa is said to have had a lot on her plate in the years and months ahead of her passing, and she was struggling personally with her family relationships and handling her exes. Number 6. Isolation. Due to Lisa Marie's personal struggles, she spent her final days on trying trek between Los Angeles and Graceland. A source close to the family echoed that by saying Presley, who lived most of her life in the limelight, had been living a reclusive life and had especially struggled since her 27-year-old son Benjamin passed away in 2020. In Lisa Marie's final years, she was racked with grief over Ben, as he was her baby and he relied on her so heavily. So after she found out that he had passed away, her whole world completely fell apart and she found it really difficult to cope with, so she spent most of her days in isolation. Despite her personal struggles, Lisa Marie always tried to keep in good spirits, at least when she did venture into the public. And her final speech at Graceland would prompt fans to erupt in applause. While Lisa would also address her grief in an essay for People, she would say, "Grief does not stop or go away in any sense, a year or years after the loss. Grief is something you have to carry with you for the rest of your life, in spite of what certain people or culture wants us to believe." Lisa was struggling and never wanted to admit it, but her heart had been shattered since losing her son, and the grief took a huge toll on her. Number 5. Substance abuse. In Lisa Marie Presley's book I'm Grateful to Be Alive, she opened up about her substance addiction. In the book, she would state it was a difficult path to overcome her dependence to substances and put her life back on track. She would also say in recent years that she has seen too many people she loved struggle with addiction and pass away tragically from this epidemic. She would also go on to note that it was time for all of us to say goodbye to the shame surrounding addiction and that we had to stop blaming and judging ourselves and the people around us. In the book, Lisa would specifically mention her children as the purpose to stay sober when she wrote, "As I write this, I think of my 4 children who gave me purpose to heal." And later she would state she was so grateful to be alive and that she had 4 beautiful children who had given her a sense of purpose, and that gave her the strength to carry her through her darkest times. Number 4. Finding joy. Lisa Marie was a singer just like her father, and during her time she graced us with 3 beautiful albums. She also looked to her children for joy and told Healthy Living in 2014 that she was ferociously protective over her children by saying, "I smother them in love. They are my priority. That's what I do. That's what I care about. I keep them close to me and make sure they are happy and healthy." And while Lisa Marie's children truly felt inspired by their mom because she was a very strong, smart woman who raised them to do things on their own and not care what people thought, behind her tough shell, the star was breaking and searching for something to help her feel whole again. What Lisa wanted to feel the most was joy, and she spent her whole life trying to shed away from the dark and into the light where she could finally feel happy again, like she did when she was a child before she lost her father. Number 3. Scientology. While people have recently been researching details about her personal life, one of the most recent questions people have had is how Lisa Marie got involved with the Church of Scientology, and her involvement wouldn't be the proudest moment of her life. Lisa Marie was reported to have joined the Church of Scientology shortly after her father's passing in 1977. According to OK Magazine, she was brought to the church by her mother, who found it hard to handle Lisa after she got involved in substances in her youth. Lisa's involvement with the church thus began and lasted for several decades. While earlier in her involvement, she would claim that Scientology saved her life, later on, in the cult-like religion, she would take a clean break as she claimed it had taken advantage of her and wanted everything she had when she mentioned, "I slowly started to self-destruct. They were taking my soul, my money, my everything." Unlike other former Scientologists, she did not reveal too much about the reason that led her to her decision to leave the church. However, there have been some reports regarding her involvement, and she isn't so proud of them. Number 2. Dark Kid. At the age of 9, Lisa Marie would lose her father, and she would continue to endure a string of passings soon after. When in a 2-year period, the Lights Out singer also lost her grandfather as well as her great-grandfather and aunts. In 2003, she would tell Newsweek magazine, "I didn't have much of a runway in life. I was like a deep, dark kid who was always melancholy." Lisa Marie also struggled during her teen years when she started to rebel against her mother, Priscilla Presley. While the star claims that she was in a destruction mode, she would then admit in an interview with Playboy that same year that she did anything her mom didn't want her to do, from smoking, drinking, substances, boys, whatever she could get her hands on, and that she went through a substance phase for like 3 3 years, and it would cause her to be thrown out of her house by her mom, and she would be forced to stay at the Scientology Center. And coming at number 1 today, we have the grueling legal battle. Like any mother, no one wants their children to know the grueling details about the failed relationship she has with their father. With Lisa Marie and Michael Lockwood being officially divorced since May of 2021, they had a grueling legal battle. And a lot of her problems she had with Michael, she would keep a secret for her children's sake. The former couple made the decision to part ways in 2016 following 10 years of marriage, but they have been in and out of court for years, arguing over everything from custody of their teenage twin daughters to money matters. 5 months after the pair finalized their divorce, Lockwood would take Elvis Presley's daughter to court yet again in October 2021, petitioning for higher child support payments, claiming that he had no steady income at the time. The mother of 4 fought back, saying she couldn't afford it because she was in debt. But Michael alleged that she was still pulling over $200,000 from her rock legend dad's estate, and the judge would rule that Lisa Marie would have to cop up $4,600 per month. In March of 2022, Michael would then demand her financial records be made public after his estranged ex refused to share details of her book contract, following reports that she was promised at least $3 million to write a memoir on her father as well as her relationship with Michael Jackson. That same month, the musician would also question to know how much money the mother of his children would be pulling from the Elvis biopic. It's clear that Michael was really interested on leeching Lisa Marie's money and would become really aggressive to get more money, and it's clear that he felt he should know all about her income so he could dictate how much of it she should be giving him, and this was a secret she kept so she wouldn't hurt her children because she didn't want them to know that their father was a gold digger. At number 10, we have her mother had custody of her kids. Back in 2017, Priscilla Presley would confirm that she was caring for Lisa Marie's young children as her kid's father faced explosive allegations after Lisa Marie accused him of sexual misconduct. At the time, Lisa had been going through a very difficult divorce battle, and in the divorce papers filed, Lisa would claim that her twins' dad, Michael Lockwood, was at the subject of a criminal investigation surrounding the fact that she had found inappropriate videos and photographs of younger people on his computer. And while many people were quick to assume that Lisa's children were in foster care, Priscilla would clear up the rumors when she headed to her Facebook to say there's lots of confusion, commotion, and concern from all the talk circulating. Let me put this to rest. The girls have not been in foster care and never will be. The girls have been with me and they will be until this is all sorted out. While it's unclear why the children were not in the custody of Lisa Marie or Michael Lockwood, authorities would also choose not to open up about the official case involving Michael that had Lisa Marie feeling shocked and horrified after she discovered the photos and videos on his computer. Number 9. Bankrupt. By 2004, Lisa Marie Presley would sell off 85% of her interest in the Elvis estate for around $100 million, and it would be the biggest mistake of her life. According to court documents, Lisa Marie declared that she had an income that was around $109,000 a month, and her monthly expenses were around $92,000, which left a narrow margin, especially considering that since the fall of 2019, she had to pay just $750,000 in attorney fees. At the time of the court filing, Lisa Marie had over $3.3 million in major outstanding debt. The biggest debt by far was a line of credit from Barclays Bank UK for more than $1 million. The rest of the stated debt was dominated by unpaid state federal taxes for years 2017, 2018, and 2021. There were also a few similar things like a Maserati monthly car payment of $1,708. Some of the tax debt was being paid off on a monthly basis, and there was also $280,000 owed to a ghostwriter that was being used for her upcoming tell-all memoir. Priscilla has also stated at one point in Lisa's life she was in debt for $16 million following a disastrous business deal made by her business manager, Barry Siegel. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Number 8. Scared. Just days before her passing, Lisa Marie Presley would say that she blamed herself every single day for the passing of her son Benjamin. Benjamin. In an essay written by Lisa, she would write about how painful it was to be judged when a loved one passes in a premature, unnatural, or tragic way, especially if that loved one is your child. The essay was originally published in People in August 2022, and she would say, "I already battle with and beat myself up tirelessly and chronically, blaming myself every single day, and that's hard enough to now live with, but others will judge and blame you too, even secretly or behind your back, which is even more cruel and painful. On top of everything else," later the singer would describe her son as the sweetest and most incredible being that she has ever had the privilege of knowing, and that she said that he reminds her so much of her father Elvis on so many levels, and that it actually scared her. Number 7. Axl Rose. Recently, Axl Rose has revealed that he has a secret friendship with Lisa Marie Presley as he opened up about her tragic passing. In an interview with People, the Guns N' Roses singer described her passing as unreal and recalled sending her animal videos to lift her spirits following Benjamin's passing. Axl would also go on to say, "I missed my friend Lisa. Her passing, just as her son's or as a kid, her father, doesn't seem real. Lisa loved her family, all her children. My heart goes out to them." When Axl went on to describe his efforts and support of Lisa following Ben's passing, Axl would recall awkwardly broaching the issue of his passing in order to show her that he cared, and he wanted her to know that he cared and wanted to comfort her. For years, it's been said that Axl and Lisa had a really tight friendship and that they were known to swap jokes, news articles, and lots of animal videos as a way of raising Lisa's spirits. After the passing of her son, all he wanted was her to be happy, at least as much as one could be under the circumstances. Axl and Lisa became friends when Axl would hang out with Elvis backstage and Lisa would come to the shows, and Axl would also know it was also great to see her as she was always fun and supportive. Number 6. Michael Jackson. Just 3 weeks after her first divorce was finalized in 1994, Lisa would find herself getting married to pop icon Michael Jackson following his proposal over the phone. The pair soon then went to the Dominican Republic, where she filed for a quick divorce from her husband and then wed Michael in private. She would then later publicly announce her wedding by saying, "My married name is Miss Lisa Marie Presley Jackson. My marriage to Michael Jackson took place in a private ceremony outside of the United States weeks ago, but their marriage was rocked by the emerging allegations of accusations of abuse held against Jackson that surrounded younger people." The singer then reportedly became so dependent on Lisa Marie for emotional support while she became concerned about his use of sedative substances. Lisa Marie later said in an interview with Rolling Stone that she had hoped to have saved the trouble singer, with the marriage being dogged by theories that the pair had an asexual relationship, leading to Lisa Marie appearing in a suggestive video for his hit in 1995, "You Are Not Alone." The pair would then later get a divorce in 1996, and Lisa Marie is said to never stop loving him. Number 5. Priscilla Presley. Lisa Marie had mended her relationship with her mom Priscilla Presley after her son's devastating passing despite years of prior estrangement. It's said that Lisa Marie had a really rocky relationship with Priscilla due to her troubles and breakdown of her marriage to Michael Lockwood, but they became close again after Ben's passing, and Priscilla supported her as much as she could. During Lisa Marie's divorce with Lockwood, Priscilla chose to stand by him, which caused a lot of friction between the mother and daughter duo. During this time, Priscilla was only able to find comfort from her friends as the relationship between her and Lisa fell apart, and she was at loss over what to do at the time. While Lisa filed for divorce in 2016 and claimed she found images of younger people on Michael's computer during the divorce after losing her husband and mother, Lisa would turn to substances to numb the pain. While Michael denied the allegations, it would lead to a messy court and custody battle, and while Lisa needed her mom the most, she knew that her mom was on her ex-husband's side and that she couldn't turn to her for help. With only Lisa knowing what was truly on that computer, she never really detailed the things she actually found on that computer to the public. Number 4. The alarming red carpet appearance. Extra host Billy Bush did the final Golden Globes red carpet review of Lisa Marie Presley and immediately immediately realized that something was amiss. Just 2 days before her passing, Lisa Marie would walk the red carpet at the Golden Globes. She attended to support the Elvis biopic of her father. Since Bush has recalled his brief red carpet talk with an ashen and unsteady Lisa Marie by saying she was very uneven in her balance. The speech was very slow, and definitely when the interview was over, I turned to my producer next to me and said, "Something's off here." She was certainly with it, just a second slow, but she was there. She was definitely there, just a tad off in some way. For the interview, stars had to navigate 2 steps to the platform where he stood, but Presley was struggling to do so, so Bush went down and met the star on the red carpet itself. Also, there's been videos at the event that show her walking unsteadily and being escorted by her manager, who grabbed her arm to give her support. It's clear that something was going on with the star and she didn't want to talk about it. Number 3. The safe place. Much has been said about the secrets that lie within Elvis Presley's Graceland bedroom. The private sanctuary has remained off limits to the public since his passing. However, during an interview in 2013, Lisa Marie spilled secrets about the room, and she would say Elvis Presley's bedroom was one of the places she would feel the safest. It said that Lisa would always keep a key for the upstairs with her and go up there, and up there was just Elvis and her bedroom. While the rooms are said to be a sanctuary, she always felt like she could shut the door and feel the safest and calmest. This is why she kept the area the same as Elvis has left it. The area still having a lot of Elvis's flair for the flamboyant and reflected the decorating taste of the 1970s. The king of rock and roll, only child admitted, "Oh, it's showy. It's got a long shag carpet, a black bed, and red walls, gold, everything here and there." Number 2. The friendship with the Duchess of York. Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York, penned a touching tribute to Lisa Marie Presley after the singer passed away on Thursday, revealing their surprising friendship. Sarah would say, "I say hello to you every day, and I love you, my sissy, and I will continue to say hello to you every day. You were my sissy, an amazing mother to Ben, Riley, Harper, and Finley, and a superbly loving daughter to Priscilla. You have been my devoted friend for many years, and I am here for your family to support and love them. I am deeply saddened, my sissy. You are in my heart." A close friend to Prince Andrew's ex-wife told Page Six that the two women originally met when Lisa was living in Sussex, England with her ex-husband Michael Lockwood back in 2010. Apparently they hit it off straight away, and that they just seemed to understand each other. Over the years, the pair became quite close and kept in touch when Lisa moved back to the States. Lisa was always really supportive of the Duchess and when she was going through tough times, and Lisa even offered her refuge in Hawaii to weather out the storm. The Duchess was never able to forget that, and Lisa even went out of her way to support her friend, and that the two actually really bonded as sisters. And coming at number 1 today, we have The Secret Job. Although Lisa was a singer and songwriter that spent most of her life in her home country of America, the daughter of Elvis also called Sussex home for a while. While she also laddered herself a very different type of job when compared to her usual career, as she was actually working in a fish and chip van in the village despite owning a 15th century grade 2 listed country mansion. It appears that Lisa wanted to get stuck in with the village life and thought the best way she could do that was to serve the locals. The van was apparently owned by local pub owners Kim and Justin Scales, and it was a job that Lisa reportedly loved doing. Back in 2012, Kim would say that the singer could not wait to don an apron and serve people, and she found it really amusing when people did not know it was her. Although being the daughter of one of the most iconic singers in the world, Lisa wanted to be fully integrated in the life in Sussex Village, and she really enjoyed her shift.
Number 10. Germaphobe. While speaking to Jonathan Ross in a 2015 interview, Priscilla Presley revealed that her late ex-husband was terrified of germs and would take his phobia to the extreme. She claimed that he even refused to use anyone else's silverware, which even included the ones at high-end restaurants. She said that because of his secret germophobia, he never liked to go to other people's homes to eat because he would have to take his own silverware, and that would often cause quite an uncomfortable situation, as you could imagine. Quote, "And he didn't like drinking out of cups that other people had drunk out of, even restaurants or other people's homes. So when he drank, he would drink where the handle was, knowing that no one would ever drink at that side." Although this information is not widely known, Priscilla says Elvis has been that way ever since he was a child. She believed that he just didn't like to put his mouth where other people had put their mouth, especially with cutlery and dishes, which is definitely something most people wouldn't have known about the star. Number 9. Liked younger women. In her book Elvis and Me, Me, Priscilla Presley wrote that she just turned 14 when she met Elvis Presley, who was 24 years old at the time and already an international superstar. Despite the scandal, they started an intimate courtship that lasted 7 years before they eventually married in 1967. Now, the age difference is creepy on its own, but it becomes even creepier when you compare that to what Linda Thompson wrote in her own memoir. Thompson, who dated Elvis after his marriage to Priscilla ended, was also very young and inexperienced at the time. In fact, he allegedly told her, quote, "I want to preserve you for as long as you need." Whatever he meant by that, it just sounds super icky. Elvis reportedly took advantage of his power to manipulate young, impressionable fans whenever he went on tour. Joel Williamson, who wrote a historical book about Elvis, claimed that 2 years before he met his future wife, the star took a group of 3 girls with him on tour for the purpose of, quote, "pillow fights, tickling, and cuddling." Number 8. His vanity. Fame is a terrible drug that often pushes stars into the oddest methods of trying to stay thin and beautiful. Linda Thompson wrote in her memoir that Elvis's obsession with being slim would drive him to bizarre measures to keep the weight off, including an alleged 2-week period of sedation. That's exactly what it sounds like. Elvis mainly slept all day except for brief periods where he woke up long enough to go to the bathroom and eat a small portion of food before being sedated again and going back to sleep. She also claimed that he regularly did crash diets on just 500 calories a day. She also exposed his secret about why he constantly wore shirts with high collars. Apparently, he did it to conceal his neck, which he actually hated. She wrote that the whole reason he wore the trademark style was to keep his, quote, "skinny little chicken neck hidden from the public." Then at age 40, Elvis allegedly opted for a facelift. Quote, "There has been speculation through the years that Elvis has his eyes done or some other mystery procedure, but that mini facelift was the extent of his plastic surgery." Well, it seems like his ex-wife was really intent on revealing a side of him that was incredibly vain. Number 7. Pet chimpanzee. This one is really messed up. Billy Smith, who was a member of Elvis's entourage, openly talked about how Scatter, Elvis's pet chimpanzee, was essentially used as a party favor that they trained to harass women. It said that the chimp would often look for women at parties and grab onto their clothes. According to Smith, Scatter also drank heavily. Quote, "He could down a fifth of liquor before you knew it." Smith remembered another time when Scatter was beaten by a woman at a party for misbehaving. There have been conflicting reports about what really happened to the chimp. Some state that he merely lost his life due to old age, but Smith speculated that Scatter was poisoned by one of the maids who was tasked with feeding him after he was abandoned by Elvis and the crew who were out on the road. Although it's unclear exactly how he passed, it appears as though Scatter took his last breath on his own after years of living the party lifestyle. The whole thing was really rather sad, as it seemed like Elvis and his friends used the chimp just to entertain themselves and discarded him when they went on tour. Number 6. Attacked his fiancée. After Linda Thompson, Elvis briefly dated Mindy Miller before becoming involved with Ginger Alden, who was a full 20 years younger than him. It was only 2 months into their relationship when Elvis proposed to her and she accepted. The couple planned to walk down the aisle just a few months before Elvis's untimely death, and Alden even said how excited he was about their wedding and their future together as a couple. She revealed to Express that during his final days, quote, "Elvis was looking forward to many things: marriage, more children, serious films, and his next tour. But Elvis was reportedly very manipulative when it came to women and could be extremely jealous and controlling. According to sources close to the star at the time, he could get very violent. His treatment of her was horrifying, and the pair constantly argued during their time together. After one particular fight, he allegedly asked someone in his entourage to pop the tires on Alden's car so she couldn't leave his home. And on another occasion, when she was driving away after an argument, Elvis reportedly aimed his weapon at her car and fired.
Number 5. Living doll. When Elvis Presley started dating Priscilla Presley when she was just 14 years old, as the relationship started to grow, the king of rock and roll would start to dictate how she had to dress and told her that she didn't need an education. While Priscilla did everything she could to be with Elvis, she felt like she was his living doll while she was living with him in Graceland, away from her family. While Priscilla went on to lose her identity throughout the relationship with Elvis, she would also lose her individuality. Later in life, Priscilla would call herself Elvis's doll, his own living doll to fashion as he pleased. In an interview was expressed, she would also state that Elvis frowned upon chip nail polish and patterned dresses, and he insisted that Priscilla would look better with long hair and that she needed to apply more makeup around the eyes to make them stand out, as her eyes were too plain naturally, and that he liked a lot of makeup as it defined her features. Elvis would also go on to teach her how to walk, how to dress, how to apply makeup, wear her hair, how to behave, and how to return his love in his way. Number 4. Strict mother. Before Lisa Marie Presley passed away, she would admit that as a parent, her father, Elvis Presley, was a lot of fun. However, she has also spoken out about the worries concerning her famous father. Mainly that as a child, she felt like she needed to protect him and keep him safe. Priscilla Presley previously has also admitted that when it came to parenting, Lisa Marie, she was often put in the role of being the one who had to set the rules. While Priscilla sat down with an interview with The Guardian, she would say, "I was the disciplinarian, and there were times Lisa didn't like it, but you can't live life without boundaries. I was very subtle and very calm, and she knows this now." Priscilla would also add in the interview that Lisa Marie was only 4 years old when her parents divorced, so she would have to work hard to ensure that her daughter understood that everyone could still get along. Number 3, the affair. It's clear that Elvis and Priscilla's marriage wasn't all glitter and gold. While it's said that Elvis had multiple affairs that put a major strain on his relationship with Priscilla behind the scenes, Priscilla also had an affair when she was still married to Elvis. While the age difference and controlling nature of their relationship took a toll on Priscilla, ultimately she decided that she needed an outlet, as there were times she didn't even feel like she was a person because Elvis was always the concerned person, as he came first and no one cared about her feelings, or what she was going through. Ultimately, Priscilla eventually started to seek out the company of another man during her 10-year marriage. In the book Elvis and Me, Priscilla would allege that her ex-husband had affairs during their marriage. Despite that, Elvis reportedly became incredibly angry when he discovered that Priscilla had an affair of her own. She would also go on to say that she was dating fitness instructor Mike Stone when she was still married to Elvis, and added that her husband had a big reaction when he found out. It would later be revealed that Elvis was so angry he even tried to get his entourage to hire a hitman to get Mike. Number 2, stole custody of Lisa Marie Presley's kids. Priscilla Presley's daughter Lisa Marie Presley was a mom to 4 children, Benjamin, Riley, and twins Finley and Harper. When Lisa Marie ended up locked in an incredibly difficult custody battle with her ex-husband Michael Lockwood for quite some time, it said that Priscilla even had custody of Lisa's twins Finley and Harper as the custody battle dragged on. In 2017, Priscilla would reveal on ABC News that the twins had been living with her for some time, and she would go on to say it's still very family-oriented environment for them. It's been over 9 months. They're great. They're doing wonderful. They're living a great life. They see both parents, and we'll see what happens. At the time, the California Department of Children and Family Services was involved in the care of the twins, and the move came after Lisa Marie filed claims of sexual misconduct against Michael Lockwood. And coming in number 1 today, we have saved Elvis's fortune. Just after Elvis Presley unexpectedly passed away in 1977, his net worth was a surprising $5 million, which is much lower than most people would expect, and much lower than what he earned in his lifetime. With his estate being left to his daughter, grandmother, and father after the passing of Elvis's father and grandmother, Lisa Marie Presley was left as the sole beneficiary of Elvis's estate. Priscilla then served as the executor of Elvis's estate until Lisa Marie's 25th birthday. During this time, she devised a plan to rebuild the late singer's fortune, giving her daughter an extremely comfortable lifestyle and future. While some pressed Priscilla to sell Graceland for liquidation purposes, she opted to turn the home into a tourist attraction with the help of Jack Soden. She also worked to buy the surrounding properties around Graceland, making sure they became stores that sold Elvis's merchandise, and eventually rebuilt Elvis's estate into a massive fortune. Coming at number 10, we have her rocky relationship with Lisa Marie Presley. While the world has begun reeling in the aftermath of Lisa Marie Presley's tragic passing, many have begun to ask questions about her family life. In particular, it seems like people are increasingly increasingly curious about what her relationship with Priscilla Presley was like. While the two were thick as thieves before Lisa's passing, the two faced their fair share of ups and downs. It's said that Lisa Marie had a very rocky relationship with Priscilla due to her troubles and breakdown of her relationship with Michael Lockwood. The pair was sadly only able to repair their relationship after Lisa Marie's son passed away on July 12, 2020. But before, it seems like Lisa Marie's estrangement to her mother would come when she decided to divorce Michael Lockwood, and her mother, Priscilla, actually chose to stand by him even after Lisa Marie claimed to have found illegal videos and photos of on Michael Lockwood's computer. While sources say Priscilla had to be comforted by her friends as her relationship between her and Lisa fell apart, this is when she felt lost over what to do at the time. But she would have never had a rocky relationship with Lisa if she just chose to stand by her daughter like a mother should always do. Number 9. Her love for Elvis Presley. When Elvis Presley broke up with his wife Priscilla Presley in 1973, the couple remained really close until his passing, and later Priscilla Presley would admit that she never stopped loving him even after he passed away unexpectedly just years after their divorce. And even his passing made her realize that she didn't want to live in a world without him. It's even been said that after their divorce, the pair actually walked out of the courthouse holding hands. Priscilla and Elvis would split after his substance abuse and affairs got way too out of hand, but their relationship kept intact, and they still spoke to one another frequently. To this day, Priscilla's love for Elvis is so strong that she can't even be in the same room as Elvis impersonators when they are dressed up as the star, as it's too hard for her. Back in 2014, when Priscilla Presley was set to attend Elvis Festival in Collingwood, Ontario, she agreed to do the event, but there was one huge rule for the festival that they would have to follow in order to have her attend, and this rule would be that Elvis impersonators couldn't be in the same room as her. However, when one did come into the event not dressed up as Elvis, as he was following the rules, Priscilla would be left feeling very emotional as he reminded her of Elvis, and she would even praise the festival for keeping Elvis's story alive. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Number 8. Her life at 14. Elvis and Priscilla's relationship was much darker than what even some of the biggest fans may have realized. Even those who already casually knew that Priscilla was quite young when she met Elvis may still don't know what the pair's relationship was like when they began their courtship. Priscilla was only 14 years old and Elvis was 24, and the details of their courtship may not be front of mind. Written in Priscilla Presley's own words for People in 1985, the specific story on how the king of rock and roll met and wooed his only wife may be hard for some fans to stomach. Priscilla and Elvis met back in 1959 when her family settled in a small town in Germany, and Priscilla was invited to a party by a family friend. It would be at this party she would meet Elvis and tell him that she was in the 9th grade. It would be at this moment that he would tell her she was just a baby. However, a few nights later, he would tell Priscilla that he wanted to be alone with her and asked her to come to his bedroom. While the two would spend the night together, they would end up seeing each other for months, and they would continue to spend every night together, which proved to be too much for the student as her grades would start to slip. While Priscilla claimed that they never made love, her parents became very confused and bewildered about her relationship with Elvis, and it took a lot for them to prove that it was proper and platonic. At number 7. Homewrecker. Since Elvis was 24 years old and a famous worldwide performer, it's probably not too much of a surprise that Elvis was in a relationship with someone else when he met Priscilla. Before there was Priscilla, Elvis was actually dating actress Anita Wood, who he began dating in 1957, and the relationship was actually pretty serious. When Anita did an interview with the Daily Express, she would say, "He swore he loved me, how we would get married, how there was no one else, how I need to stay true to him and remain and wait for him, how he was afraid I would not." Anita would also say that she wasn't allowed to visit Elvis while he was in Germany, and that the two were still together when Elvis returned to the United States in 1960. By then, Anita already started to hear the rumors about Priscilla and that Elvis was constantly telling her that it was nothing to be worried about. Anita would then eventually confront Elvis about the nature of his relationship with Priscilla, and the singer asked her to keep Priscilla a secret secret because he believed he would get in a lot of trouble over his relationship with the young girl. While Anita would go on to date Presley for 2 more years, he would have Priscilla flown out to the States and he would begin dating both women. When Anita found out that Elvis was having a hard time making up his mind about the 2 women, Anita would overhear the conversation Elvis was having with his father, and she would make the decision to leave the star. Number 6. Experimenting with substances. After Priscilla met Elvis, when he was stationed in Germany on military service, she described how they had a very passionate relationship, so when he was discharged and set to return home, Priscilla did everything she could to persuade her parents to let her go to America. Her parents would then only agree when she agreed that she would live in a separate property and go to school. While Priscilla did go to school, she spent all of her free time day and night at Graceland. In a powerful interview with Barbara Walters in 1985, Priscilla would recall the intense and strange world she lived in with Elvis as a young teenager. Priscilla would stay up late every night, and every morning Priscilla would get up for high school, and then when she arrived home in the afternoon, she would crawl back in bed with Elvis. Eventually, after Priscilla's grades started to slip, she had to start taking sleeping medication to help her sleep. Priscilla felt like she had to make things work with Elvis because she was scared that if she didn't do it, another woman would, and she wanted to be the one. She would even bring up a horrifying moment when Elvis gave her 2 strong medications to help her sleep, and that even when she was unconscious, Elvis didn't call a doctor because he didn't realize that she's never taken them before and gave her too much of a strong dose. Even after she was passed out for 2 days. As Elvis's behavior became more extreme, the couple would spend days in bed.
Number 5. Allegations of racism. Last year, Quincy Jones revealed to The Hollywood Reporter that he always refused to work with Elvis because he was a racist. The musician, best known for producing Michael Jackson's albums Thriller, Off the Wall, and Bad, made the comments about Elvis's supposed history of racism in his new interview. The outlet asked Jones about Presley after the producer compared Jackson to the king of rock and roll. The 88-year-old musician and producer described a time when he was writing for the orchestra leader Tommy Dorsey in the 50s, and Elvis came in saying, quote, "I don't want to play with him." Jones went on to call Elvis a racist and added, quote, "But every time I saw Elvis, he was being coached by Otis Blackwell, telling him how to sing." And while there wasn't an overwhelming amount of accusations surrounding Elvis's past racism, there are certainly many allegations against the icon for appropriating black culture and repackaging it to the general public as his own. Despite this, it's obvious that American society still allowed him to have a very successful career, whether it was something the lead singer did consciously or subconsciously. Number 4. Hidden children. Even though he has been gone for many years, Elvis Presley has always been the center of several new scandals and controversies. One of the many that have hit the headlines in the last few years is that the king of rock and roll supposedly kept hidden children from the rest of the world. The National Enquirer actually conducted a 2-year investigation into the hidden children of the Presley family, reportedly acquiring witness testimonies, checking receipts, mail correspondence, birth certificates, and even DNA tests. The result of the investigation allegedly proves that Elvis did have several additional children that were being kept away from the spotlight of Hollywood. In fact, multiple alleged mothers of Elvis's hidden children have come forward to tell their stories about how they met the star, and the stories have some strange similarities. One example is Desiree Romaine Presley, who is the daughter of Lucy DeBarban, and she claims that her mother was in a 24-year-long relationship with Elvis and was being kept away from the media. But the crazy thing is that Desiree's father is listed as Randolph Presley on her birth certificate, someone who allegedly worked at the Air Force Base in Oklahoma City. Number 3. Addicted to medication. It's not unheard of for celebrities to turn to substances as a way to cope with fame and just how crazy their lives become in the spotlight. But Elvis's alleged addictions could have had a very different origin when you look at the tragedy of his mother's passing. In 1958, he was drafted into the US Army, but went to Germany but had to return to the US less than 6 months later because of his mother's untimely death. Many people believe that this marked the beginning of the end for Elvis, who quickly headed down a path of self-destruction. As soon as he returned to Germany, it's reported that Elvis partied heavily and would often get into fights. During this time, he also started taking illegal substances to try and deal with the grief of losing his mother. This probably snowballed, and it's assumed that from that moment on, the misuse of substances played a major role in his life. Linda Thompson wrote several examples in her memoir about these incidents and says that she often found Elvis passed out in a bowl of chicken noodle soup under the influence of sedatives. She even says that doctors tried to hospitalize him for 2 weeks after misusing a common combination of medication for far too long. Number 2. Why Priscilla ended things. Because she was only 14 years old when their courtship began, it's really no surprise that she missed out on a huge chunk of her adolescence. She told Jonathan Ross in 2015, quote, "I was kind of lost, really in who I was earlier in my life. I really didn't have teenage years." After their first child, Lisa Marie, was born, Priscilla accused Elvis of not wanting to sleep with her after she had given birth. Elvis told her that he wanted her to recover, but Priscilla later wrote in her memoir that he had mentioned before they were married that he had never been able to make love with a woman who'd had a child. In fact, throughout their marriage, Elvis continued to cheat on Priscilla with other women, and she herself had her own affair with an owner of a dance studio. It's safe to say that their marriage never really recovered. They finalized their divorce in 1973, and she said that this was because her life was his life, which meant her problems were always going to be secondary. Years later, she admitted that she did not divorce him because she didn't love him, but because she had to find out about the world. She was clearly just way too young when they started seeing each other. Number 1. Erratic violence. In recent years, Linda Thompson has been pretty open about her time with Elvis Presley, stating, quote, "We all knew how dangerous Elvis's rage could be. Apparently, when she first noticed Elvis could get pretty angry was when someone reportedly stole personal photos of one of his ex-girlfriends with another woman. She claimed that he then decided to show off his samurai sword collection while under the influence of illegal substances and left her fearing for her life. Although she said that he was true to his word and he didn't in fact hurt her, she was concerned because his talents were entirely impaired due to the narcotics. These were just some of the several times that his ex said that she worried about his boiling rage. Apparently, the musician even invested in a concealed carry permit to take the weapons on stage with him, including several that were actually stuffed into his shoes, just in case someone got a little bit too rowdy in the crowd. Even singer Tom Jones spoke about Elvis's love of weapons during a visit to his dressing room. Tom said that he noticed a loaded weapon just sat on the side and simply handed it to Elvis by wrapping it in a towel. Sounds a little crazy to me.
Coming in at number 10 today, we have the secret grandchild. On Sunday at Lisa Marie's funeral service, Riley Keough's husband, Ben Smith Peterson, would reveal that the couple had welcomed a secret child last year. The stuntman announced the news while he was reading a letter on behalf of his wife at the memorial service. In the letter, Ben would say, "I hope I can love my daughter the way you love me, the way you love my brothers and my sisters. Thank you for giving me strength, my heart, my empathy, my courage, my sense of humor, my manners, my temper, my wildness, and my tendency. I'm the product of your heart, my sisters are the product of your heart, my brother is the product of your heart." Since the memorial service, a representative has confirmed the birth of Riley and Ben's daughter, and the couple's daughter is the first grandchild of Lisa Marie and the first great-grandchild of Elvis and Priscilla. While everyone was shocked to learn that the Presley family kept a child a secret, Riley's tribute to her mother would bring the whole room to tears as they remembered Lisa for her strength and love. Number 9, we have the childhood message. Before Elvis Presley passed away, in an interview, the king would describe with glee how much of a terror Lisa Marie was. But what many didn't know is that she left behind a hidden graffiti message in a secret drawer. During a live virtual tour with Graceland archivist Angie Marchese, she would point out a secret drawer that was located in the corridor next to the kitchen on the way into the jungle room from the front door. In fact, it's right where fans walk during the regular in-person tour of Graceland. During the interview, Angie would open the drawer, and when it was open, you could see written inside was Lisa Marie's graffiti, which read, "Lisa's home, Graceland," with a smiley face. Also inside the drawer was a 1993 phone book, which seems quite random, but Elvis historian revealed it was owned by the king's aunt Delta May, who lived at Graceland until that very year. Interestingly, all kinds of items remained in the drawers at Graceland, just as they were left behind by those who were living in the mansion. For example, the plates and glasses are still kept in the kitchen cupboards, and is the china in the drawers in the dining room. Additionally, in a drawer in the music room, quite randomly features a samurai sword that was gifted to Elvis by a Japanese officer. Lisa Marie very much saw Graceland as her family home, and the china she used was kept in the drawers in her Aunt Delta Delta's bedroom, which is connected to the kitchen, and it isn't on the tour. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming number 8, we have her connection with John Travolta. John Travolta and Lisa Marie Presley had known each other for decades, but before Travolta and Presley were friends, Lisa Marie was nothing more than a fan of the rising celebrity. After the passing of Lisa's father Elvis, Priscilla was looking to bring some joy into her daughter's life and used her Hollywood connections to arrange a meeting between the two. However, before rumors started to begin that Travolta and Presley dated, when the two met, Presley was only 11 and Travolta was in his mid-20s. However, there was an apparent connection between Priscilla and Travolta, and it is said their connection apparently led to 3 to 4 secret dates that didn't go any further. However, it was during this time Travolta would speak to Priscilla about the Church of Scientology, as he has been a member since 1975, and extended an invitation to Priscilla to come and see what it was all about. Apparently, Priscilla found it to be very welcoming, and she joined in 1977, and as a result, Lisa Marie had no choice but to join the institution as well. Lisa Marie would then be placed into obedience therapy as a young child, as she was in a bad mental condition after she lost her father, and in her weak moment of great loss, John persuaded her to come in. Number 7, trauma. Before Lisa Marie passed away, she revealed that her last memory of discovering Elvis after he had passed away in the bathroom of his famous Memphis home on August 16th, 1977. Lisa would confess that she didn't like to talk about it. In her confession, she would say it was 4 a.m. I was supposed to be asleep, but actually he found me. Lisa Marie was in her room with her mother Priscilla when Elvis arrived with them a couple minutes later and kissed her goodnight. This would be the last time she would see her father alive. Later, when she went to see her father, she would be attended by her friend Ginger, and discovering her father had passed away, Lisa Marie would be terrified, and she ran to the phone to call Elvis's ex-girlfriend, Linda Thompson, who was not at Graceland at the time. Lisa Marie would be left feeling traumatized, as she was her daddy's princess and she truly was loved by him. That was a huge trauma for her. Lisa empathetically acted out as a child, and then she would begin to take substances so she could forget the agony of losing her father. Number 6, overwhelming Priscilla. After Lisa Marie started to act out to numb the pain of losing her father, she began to overwhelm her mother Priscilla in the process. Priscilla would get exasperated with her because she was a rebellious kid, and Priscilla knew that she was not a kid who believed in rules and boundaries. Lisa Marie is said to have been a free spirit, as she would do what she wanted whenever she wanted, and this drove Priscilla nuts because she didn't want to see what happened to Elvis happen to her daughter. Priscilla felt like she was locked in a game of Mortal Kombat with her daughter, and the relationship was actually really hostile for the longest time. The two were just not aligned at all. There was no harmony. Their relationship of welfare was described as living in a war zone that would lead to Lisa Marie to do substances to get away from her misery, as she was feeling deep inside her. That's why it's being said that Priscilla is actually taking her daughter's passing really hard, as she still wasn't able to fully repair her relationship with her daughter before she passed away. Number 5, power imbalance. Seems like Lisa Marie and her mother Priscilla Presley could never see eye to eye because there was too much of a power imbalance when it came to the two. It said that Priscilla had all the power. She was the mom after all, and Lisa Marie couldn't run away after her father's passing, as she was only 9 years old. So the only way she felt like she could stand her ground was to fight back, be rude, and disrespectful to her mother. Lisa Marie felt like this was her only option to feel happiness, was to be combative. And the more Lisa Marie started to act out and misbehave, the more and more her mother got worried. Eventually, by the age of 13 years old, Lisa would start experimenting with substances, and the more Lisa started to fight back so she could be released by her mother's control, the more Priscilla would try her own methods of control. Eventually, Priscilla would have no other choice but to join the Church of Scientology, and she would kick Lisa Marie out and force her to attend courses that Lisa Marie did not want to attend. Number 4, obedience therapy. Lisa was only 11 years old when her mother Priscilla joined a cult-like religion which is known as Scientology. During her childhood years, she would be dropped off alone at the Scientology Center for hours of obedience therapy and purification rundowns. This would reportedly consist of hot sauna sessions sessions, exercise, and taking vitamins. Lisa Marie had no choice but to attend the sessions, and it seemed anytime she would act up, she would be dropped off. The instructions from Priscilla to the church were to handle her and do whatever they wanted so her daughter would get back into line. Lisa had no choice, and she was forced into conversion therapy and obedience therapy sessions, as the church saw these as courses that were fit to her needs. This is something that should never be forced onto an 11-year-old, and yet Lisa Marie was forced to believe that something was wrong with her and she had to attend these courses. Number 3. Michael Lockwood. While Lisa Marie Presley was embroiled into a ferocious custody battle with her ex-husband, she would accuse him of having hundreds of illegal images of younger people on his computer. While many have stated that Lisa Marie falsely accused him of this crime, it really makes you wonder if these crimes were never true, then why would she divorce her ex-husband, and why would the police always stay quiet about the issue, as they never confirmed if he was guilty or not guilty? It just all seems a little fishy. In the court filing at the time of her divorce, Lisa Marie Presley would never detail exactly what she found at the time, but she would say she was very shocked, horrified, and it made her sick to her stomach. However, in the papers it would also be said that the Beverly Hills Police Department found 80 of Lockwood's devices during a raid on her home, and she added that the cops still had them and that they'd never been fully analyzed, and that she had no idea what else would be on those devices, but she was scared that there was more worse images and evidence on those unanalyzed devices. Number 2. 4 divorces. Sometimes it's hard to find love, and it's clear that Lisa Marie struggled with her whole life to truly find the one. In 2016, when news broke that Lisa Marie was ending her union with Michael Lockwood, unfortunately this would be her 4th failed marriage. In 2007, Lisa Marie would explain her marital woes to Marie Claire when she said her first union with Danny Keough failed because she was really young and Danny had resented her because of who she was. She would then add that her marriage became a power struggle because it was hard for a man to be with a woman who is stronger and wealthy, and that's why she ditched Danny for Michael Jackson. However, she would then recall this being the biggest mistake of her life. As her rocky marriage to Nicolas Cage, she would state that marrying him was a wild flurry and a crazy idea that came with being young. As complicated as it all sounds, Presley eventually disunion from Michael Lockwood was arguably the toughest following their 10 years together. The exes were locked in horns and one of the most bitter custody and spousal support fights Hollywood has ever seen. And coming in number 1 today, we have Cruel to Nannies. Shortly after Lisa Marie gave birth to her beautiful twin girls, she acquired the help of nanny Christine White. According to TMZ, they would detail that Christine sued Lisa Marie because she felt like she was being overworked without proper compensation. The suit claimed that Christine was tasked with caring for the babies around the clock, and she even worked 7 days a week and was not granted breaks. By the following year, Christine would drop her case against Lisa Marie, but not before Presley countersued. In the lawsuit, Presley claimed that White was fired after breaking her contract, and that she allegedly took over 165 unauthorized photos and videos of her children, which broke her confidentiality agreement. The case was ultimately dismissed, and although it's unclear if it was ever settled, Presley seemed to have the last word on the matter, as she claimed Christine's original lawsuit was born out of utter greed and revenge because Lisa Marie fired her. Coming in number 10, we have Elvis's mother. It's no secret that Elvis had a deep-rooted mommy issue problem, which ultimately bled into his relationship with Priscilla. In her 1985 memoir, Elvis and Me, Priscilla picked up on Elvis's unshakable relationship with his mother, Gladys, who passed away in 1958. Priscilla would say, "I was to learn Elvis's mother Gladys was the love of his life." According to Express biographer Alma Nash, pointed out that Elvis's mother passed away coincided with him meeting Priscilla, which might have led to his obsession to turn her into Gladys. Elvis was looking for that young girl that he could mold into the very image of Gladys, and he had a knack for dressing up young women to resemble her. He would pick out their clothes, makeup, and show them how to style their hair, and this is why Priscilla was so perfect, is because she would do everything he wanted her to do because she was scared that if she didn't do it, some other woman would, and she wanted to be the one. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Number 9, makeup. During a November 2016 appearance on ITV's Loose Woman, Priscilla Presley would admit that Elvis would refuse to see her without makeup on, or even if she looked a bit disheveled. During an interview, Priscilla would say, "Some can't have the truth. I've always had a little bit of makeup. He never wanted to see me getting dressed. He wanted to see the end result." It wasn't until after the pair got divorced that Priscilla would notice that Elvis had been trying to transform her into the ideal woman. That's why he had strict rules on how her makeup should look and how she should dress when she was around him. Priscilla would even say later in an essay for People, something in his southern upbringing had taught him that the right girl was to be saved for marriage. "I was that girl." She would then claim that Elvis would try to mold her into his perfect woman, and she would wear clothes, hairstyle, and makeup of his careful choosing, and it took her years to finally understand who she was and to build a personality of her own. Coming at number 8, we have Scientology. Lisa Marie Presley was so traumatized by her father's passing after she discovered that he had passed away at the age of 9, she had to spend the next 35 years of her life trying to be cured by the Church of Scientology. According to claims by her former counsel, Karen de la Carriere, who was known as the Queen of Scientology as she was high-ranking member of the church for 35 years, she would say that Priscilla Presley turned to Scientology to alleviate the grief of Elvis's sudden passing in 1977. She used the church to help control her daughter's behavioral problems as well. While Elvis would never allow his daughter to join the church if he was still alive, after Priscilla joined the church after being recommended to join by John Travolta, she would then make Lisa Marie join as well, and Priscilla would even go on to force her to attend behavioral classes so she could get her daughter to fall back into line. Lisa Marie was a second-generation Scientologist who didn't want to go into Scientology in the first place, but was dragged into it because her parents were in it. She also didn't want to attend the courses, but she had to follow her mother's rules. Number 7, obedience classes. After Lisa Marie Presley started to act out after her father passed away, Priscilla was seeking out new ways to help gain control of her daughter, Lisa Marie. One of these methods was to let the Church of Scientology deal with her. By the age of 11 years old, Lisa would be dropped off at the Scientology Center for hours for obedience therapy and purification rundowns. This would reportedly consist of hot sauna sessions, exercise, and taking vitamins. Every day, Priscilla would be seen scowling when the big limousine would drive up to the Celebrity Center with a chauffeur and drop Lisa Marie off, as she was ordered to get out of the car to get into the church and straighten herself out. Lisa Marie had no choice but to attend the sessions, and every time she acted up, she would be dropped back off at the center. Priscilla would instruct the church to handle her, and Lisa Marie would be stuck at the center for hours and forced into conversion therapy and obedience therapy. Number 6. Can't talk to Elvis's friends. While Elvis might have been a fan of sexy outfits and heavy makeup for Priscilla, he was so allegedly quite jealous and possessive of her. He made it clear from the beginning that the Memphis Mafia was to keep their distance from Priscilla. Elvis's former bodyguard Sonny West would even say he made it clear that Priscilla was not to enter any room with other males that were present until Elvis was already there. Elvis also went to great pains to shield Priscilla from the public and sometimes even his friends. Any violation of the mandate let her in for a 3rd-degree punishment. If she spent any time alone with any other man in Graceland, no matter how innocent it was, both she and him might be questioned about why they were in the same room together, what they talked about, and for how long. Elvis is said to have had a possessive attitude, and it's surprising with his own colorful dating history. If you are with Elvis, it was only him, but he could be with whoever he wanted. Doesn't make sense. Number 5, the secret children. Even though Elvis has been gone for many years, Elvis is still the center of several new scandals over the years, and one of them, hitting headlines, seems to claim that the King of Rock and Roll supposedly kept a secret of 7 of his children from the rest of the world. And over the years, the Presley family had to keep this a secret. While it's just been a speculation that Elvis does have other children, the National Enquirer would even state that they too believe Elvis may have 7 other children out there, as the tabloid has claimed that they have conducted a 2-year investigation into missing members of the Presley family, and the National Enquirer has even went as far to say that they have witness testimonies, check receipts, personal correspondence, birth certificates, and DNA tests that prove that the children belong to Elvis and that they were kept away from Hollywood all this time. And the Presley family even kept this a secret from the world. And with the family being very quiet on the matter, it leaves you to wonder if the king actually does have any other children floating around out there. Number 4. School. When Elvis and Priscilla first started their relationship, it would continue upon his return to the United States, and Priscilla stayed in Germany with her parents. In 1960, Elvis would return to the United States, and during this time, him and Priscilla would stay in touch, and soon Elvis would plot a plan to have Priscilla come visit him at his Graceland home. During a school break, Priscilla joined Presley and his family. However, after ensuring Priscilla's parents she would remain in Memphis, and he reportedly took her to LA, and Elvis's friends would cover up for the king by sending the teen's parents postcards from Memphis to mislead them to cover his broken promise. After a 1962 Christmas visit, Presley would then urge to have Priscilla stay by his side, and he would assure Priscilla's mother and her stepfather that she would attend a Catholic school in Memphis and obtain a high school diploma. He also promised her parents he would live with his father off his Graceland property. However, after several nights of living with Elvis's father, she began spending more time at Graceland, and she would eventually move in permanently without her parents suspecting any wrongdoing, and they kept this a secret from her parents as they broke her parents' rules. Number 3. Don't approach Elvis for photos. Anyone who had plans of dating Elvis had to follow 3 strict rules when it came to dating the king of rock and roll. The first rule that they would be given is that they were not allowed to ask to take pictures with the star, and they weren't even allowed to go around his Graceland property and snap pictures of themselves either. Elvis made this a strict rule as his girlfriends were meant to be his girlfriends, not fans. Elvis was a very private person, and if you were going to be with him, you had to be with him. Even if you were a fan, you had to put this all aside, otherwise he wouldn't want to be with you and he would just cut off communication with you completely. And if you thought any of Elvis's rules for dating him would be negotiated, they couldn't. Even if you thought you could spin things around and negotiate the rules, this wouldn't be the case, and Elvis would just end up ghosting you. Number 2. The golden rules. Elvis Presley had an affair with his on-screen lover Anne Margaret that turned into a romantic relationship. But when things got real and Priscilla Presley found out about their relationship, he was forced to break his one golden rule before marrying her. Elvis's life changed when he signed on to appear in Viva Las Vegas. At the time, he starred in a massive amount of movies that showed him singing, dancing, and courting women for the delight of his millions of fans. But then he met Anne Margaret and started to spend almost every waking moment with her. However, when other people started to get involved in their relationship, it would start to crumble. When Anne Margaret was in the UK promoting Viva Las Vegas, when she was asked about her relationship with the king of rock and roll, somehow she was misquoted in saying that she was secretly engaged to Elvis, and this would lead to Elvis to break one of his most important rules, which is if you're caught in the act, never admit to it. This would be the time Elvis would come clean to Priscilla, who was furious, and he would then decide it was time to take their relationship to the next step, and he married Priscilla as he previously promised Priscilla's parents he was going to marry her one day, and being a man of his word, he did, and he ended up ghosting Anne Margaret for not following his other golden rule, which is to keep his name out of the press. Number 1. Stay with Elvis at all times. So recently, Elvis's ex-girlfriend Mindy Miller exposed Elvis in an interview when she stated that he had 3 non-negotiable rules for his girlfriends that they had to follow, and they were set out by his Memphis Mafia. One of the rules any woman in Elvis's life had to follow was that you had to be present with Elvis and watch him at all times. Mindy would go on to say, if he got up in the middle of the night and he didn't sleepwalk, he just wanted to watch TV or something, to eat, whatever it was, you had to watch him. 2 words. Watch him. She would also go on to say, I, unlike other girlfriends, didn't consider it a part of the job. It was delight for me. He was my boyfriend. I didn't look at him as Elvis Presley. I fell in love with the man I met. If Elvis wanted something to eat, Mindy would go downstairs to the kitchen with him, and he would call one of the maids to bring something up. Either way, anything that was going on, whether Elvis was to leave or go to bed, Mindy or any of his other girlfriends would have to stick by his side, and they would even have to study and read the Bible and spiritual books together.
Number 10. Affair with August. So by now, we all know Jada's affair with August as Lena, but it was a secret that she never wanted exposed, and something that she tried to deny up until the very last minute. This is how it all went down. While promoting his 3rd album, August sat down with the Breakfast Club and claimed that the Smiths, whom he considers to be like his family, had an open marriage, and Will allegedly gave the singer permission to date Jada. Quote, I actually sat down with Will and had a conversation. He gave gave me his blessing. He also admitted that they deeply love each other, but that he felt like not talking about their relationship was affecting him professionally and personally, because it was a secret that was weighing him down. This was explosive when it first came out, and it's clear that Jada would have prevented this if she could. Almost immediately, her publicist came out with statements denying any romantic involvement, stating that the claims were absolutely not true. But it was already too late to backtrack, and the couple finally decided to air out their dirty laundry and went on the Red Table Talk about a week later. Number 9. Feud with Gabrielle Union. Unbeknownst to the world, Jada Pinkett Smith and Gabrielle Union were secretly not speaking to each other for almost 2 decades. The actresses, who both gained prominence in the late 90s, had a long-standing tension between them that led to a 17-year-long feud. Although neither of them can pinpoint the exact moment that caused the rift, both admit to feeling awkward around each other during this period. The two finally put an end to the silence in an episode of the Red Table Talk, where they both talked about how they've grown in terms of female relationships. Jada said, quote, "She and I did not talk for 17 years, and we could not remember why. There was just a tension between us every time we would see each other." She went on to say that there was some moment where they had left a bad taste in each other's mouths. Years later, when they finally got on the phone to figure out what exactly went wrong, they couldn't figure it out. Jada went on to suggest that it was probably just the two of them being young divas, but even they don't really know for sure.
At number 8, we have Jada's manipulation tactics. Now this is a big one, because of everything I looked into regarding Jada, the word manipulation came up a scary amount of times. Reasons why she's been referred to as such range from a multitude of things, many of which have to do with her husband. There's Jada's lack of reassurance to Will of her and Tupac's actual relationship at the time, to her claims that she and Tupac only kissed once and that there was nothing more there. But it was apparent Tupac had feelings for Jada. Yet Jada's own description of their relationship was, quote, weird. Jada no doubt strung Will along by being manipulative once she and Will started dating by casually trying to play off her situation with Tupac. In doing this, she had both their support and attention, hence the manipulation tactic. Jada used this excuse of not defining her relationship openly as an advantage for herself. With both of them by her side, the situation was manipulated to the point where no one could speculate any wrongdoing from her, while she still got what she wanted in the end. Some even say that Jada forced Will to transition to an open marriage down the road as another manipulation tactic for her being forced to marry him originally. At number 7, we have all the toxic energy which seems to surround Jada. I mean, seriously, get this girl some sage or something, because I'm positive many people will mutually agree with me. And the craziest part, there's lots of proof to back up the theory that Jada is just straight up toxic. One example is her IG post with her and Will's marriage counselor. Now there are a few things to get into from this one video, but to keep things short and sweet, Jada started rolling without even asking Will if he was ready. This raised a lot of concerns about how their marriage operates behind closed doors. Jada also called Will foolish and constantly made it seem as if his opinions were invalid during this. So despite many people thinking Jada is great, there are a whole lot more who feel she is one of the most toxic, foul Hollywood celebs out there, with good reason. There's also the accusation that Jada was behind Willow's letter to Tupac post, which randomly arose on Instagram and was deleted shortly after. The moral of the point here is that Jada knows she can do whatever she wants without repercussions, and Will always be by her side to fight. So she'll never leave or actually change her ways, and to me, that's toxic AF. If you ask anybody, people say Jada's overall attitude towards Will is actually because he was never anything more to her than a rebound. But we'll get into that in just a minute. At number 6, we have Jada's responsibility for her polygamous marriage. Will and Jada are currently in what we call an open relationship, which basically just means they're free to see and be with whoever they please but can't leave each other. Will stepped forward to disclose multiple times that he and Jada's marriage for them cannot feel like a prison. And this stemmed from rumors of Jada engaging in an affair with her Hawthorne castmate Marc Anthony, who was married to Jennifer Lopez at the time of their then unconfirmed incident. Jada's inappropriate affairs, despite not being full-blown, were said to be the cause of her and Will's marriage being forced open. Basically, so Jada could mess around with other people without catching any of the blame or downfall. So long as Will agreed, of course. Which he did, by the way. And this may just be related to his previous statement of him saying he and Jada simply cannot get divorced.
Number 5. Marriage to Will. In December of 1997, the couple got married. A year later, Jaden, their first child, was born. In 2000, they became the parents of a girl they named Willow. Although her marriage had already surpassed 2 decades, which is a really long time when you look at other Hollywood couples, there were many secrets about their real feelings towards each other that were kept hidden from the public eye. Jada eventually eventually confessed that at first she did not want to marry Will. She was 3 months pregnant at the time and felt that she was pressured to say I do. Quote, "I was so angry because they forced me to get married. So angry that I walked all the damn aisle to the altar crying." So on their wedding day, Jada got cold feet and actually didn't want to go through with it. There was also a time when their marriage hit rock bottom, and it happened when Will realized that his wife had cried for 45 days straight over their troubled marriage. Quote, "She would wake up and start crying. She did it for 45 consecutive days. I know this because I wrote it down in a diary." He also said that it was a time he felt worst in their marriage. This was very difficult for the actor because he had been trying to paint the picture of a perfect family, but it was only putting stress on the couple. Number 4, Leah Remini's accusations. In her memoir, Troublemaker, Leah recalls a time that she and her husband, Angelo, spent time at Tom Cruise's Beverly Hills mansion when he invited a group of well-known Scientologists and other celebrities, including the Smiths. This is where the story gets a little crazy. He announced to all the guests that he wanted to play hide and seek. Leah somehow got out of it and claimed that her stilettos were too high to run. While it sounds a little weird, in her book, Leah called the Smiths as more famous friends of the church, and even told the Daily Beast in 2017, quote, "I know Jada's in. She's been in Scientology a long time. I never saw Will there, but I saw Jada at the Celebrity Center." She even goes on to mention the Scientology school that they opened and reveals that despite what Jada has been saying, that she is indeed good friends with Tom Cruise and an active member of the controversial religion. Then on Watch What Happens Live in July 2017, Jada told Andy Cohen that the hide and seek story just wasn't true, and later posted on Twitter, quote, "I have studied Dianetics and appreciate the merits of study tech, but I am not a Scientologist." Number 3, addiction to adult videos. The actress confessed a little known fact about her personal life. One of them was that she used to be addicted to sex. Quote, "My types of addictions jump from one side to the other. When I was younger, I thought I had some kind of sex addiction and that everything could be fixed with that." She claimed that she was addicted to adult movies at a time in her life when she had decided to practice abstinence. But her addiction got out of control and she was forced to stop consuming X-rated movies. She went on to say that she got hooked on hardcore movies that were very disturbing. Quote, "It's the behavior that's attached to it, because if you want to have a lot of sex, that's great, but why are you having all that sex? That's what you've got to look at." Jada also shared that once she took it too far when it came to pleasuring herself, and she admitted that while she was taking a break from men, she became way too addicted to doing it herself. And at her lowest, she was doing it 5 times a day, before she suddenly decided one day that it was enough because it had taken control of her life. Number 2, issues with Chris Rock. Viewers of this year's Oscars were left completely in shock when Will infamously walked up on stage and slapped comedian Chris Rock across the face for making jokes about Jada. But what most people don't know is that the beef between the Smiths and Rock actually goes back several years, so the tension has always been there. Chris once took aim at Jada while he was hosting the 2016 Oscars because the couple had very publicly decided to boycott the event. At the time, their protest was due to the fact that no actors of color were nominated for the 2nd year in a row. Chris said, quote, "Jada boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited." He actually said this during his opening monologue, and it really seemed to sting the actress. The comedian also took a dig at Will at the very same time. He spoke about the actor's performance in the movie Concussion, saying that it's not fair that Will was this good and didn't get nominated, then added it's also not fair that Will was paid $20 million for Wild Wild West. It was such a burn that the couple was clearly not able to shake off. The open relationship. While on the Red Table Talk, some more very questionable things came out that exposed the nature of Will and Jada's relationship. Basically, Will implied that the couple's decision to open up their marriage was Jada's idea because she told him that she never believed in conventional marriage and that they needed to figure out how to make themselves happy individually. So it was almost like she told him that happiness can be found with other people. But Jada's affair with August started to make a bit more sense when she openly spoke about her disappointing sex life with Will. While talking with Gwyneth Paltrow, Jada outright said that keeping the spark alive in their marriage is hard, implying that although they've been married for almost 25 years, he still doesn't know exactly what she wants in the bedroom. Quote, "Because I think you expect your partner to know what you need, especially when it comes to sex. It's like, well, if you love me, you should know. You should read my mind. That's a huge pitfall." It must have been a little embarrassing for Will when Jada insinuated that he wasn't meeting her needs, but but now it's obvious she was the one pushing for the open relationship.
At number 10, we have her forced marriage with Will Smith. Now, agree or disagree, but Jada herself has declared she got married unwillingly, and here's why. Much like everything else, Jada has openly discussed never wanting to initially marry Will, and because of this, a lot of people have made claims that Jada was wed under duress. However, Jada chalked it up to a far more reasonable explanation, and this was her being young and pregnant at the time. It's been stated how Jada's mother pushed her to tie the knot because she was fearful that Jada would never have the opportunity to get married if she didn't make that decision. Despite Jada's disapproval, the wedding still happened, and she never wanted a traditional marriage but had to compromise for Will's sake. She was going through various emotions at her 3-month term mark and even cried while going down the aisle because she was so angry with the idea of getting married. Not only was Jada against her marriage in general, she also disapproved of Will's luxurious lifestyle, and it's been detailed by sources that she was genuinely upset with Will when he bought their grand family home. If one didn't know any better, you could say their entire relationship seems forced at this point, but that's just a conspiracy theory and quite frankly, none of my business. At number 9, we have Jada being a huge attention seeker. Now this one is more of an observational theory rather than hard facts, but have you ever noticed how overly expressive she becomes when speaking about really personal things? Or how often she tries to shift the attention onto herself when it's really not about her? Well, maybe not, but according to multiple sources, this is exactly how Jada is, and they've used how she describes love to be one of their reasonings. Jada once said, the older she becomes, the more she's discovering what love truly is. Now there really isn't any harm in that statement, right? Maybe not. But it does say a lot about one's character when they've single-handedly used their deceased ex-lover and friend as a scapegoat for attention when they fall short. At least this is what those sources are saying about Jada. And that's putting it nicely. She's been described as somebody who drags Tupac's name through interviews at any given chance, where a lot of the times her late ex isn't even the topic of discussion, and Jada would just randomly mention him whenever she felt there was no spotlight on her. Again, this is more speculation, but why else would she continuously bring up someone she was close to who passed away? Wouldn't it hurt more to talk about them 24/7 rather than rarely or not at all? It's also been revealed that Jada got super pissed at Will at her 40th birthday party, which Will had been planning for 3 years prior. He had surprised her with a documentary he commissioned that chronicled her life. One would think this gesture of appreciation would work out in Will's favor, but it didn't. Jada and Will had it out after the party, and the incident was said to have popped off in their hotel when Will was reportedly shouted at and told that the event was one of the most disgusting displays of ego Jada had ever seen in her life. As a result, she and Will separated, as Will told her he was retiring from making her happy. I mean, that's one sure way to suck all the good vibes out of the room.
Number 8, Scientology school. This next one is super crazy. Leah Remini claimed that the Smiths founded a school based on Scientology. So to give some background, the couple opened the New Village Leadership Academy, a mysterious private school in Calabasas, California, that opened its doors in 2008 before quietly closing in 2013. While Jada furiously denied the allegations in a 2009 interview with Ebony magazine, quote, "All I can say is that it is not a Scientology school. Now, if you don't trust me and you are questioning my integrity, that's a whole different matter." But the Daily Beast actually spoke to 4 former teachers at the school who all admitted that Scientology is not only bled into the curriculum, but that it was essentially a Scientology school. Also, most of the teachers were followers of the controversial religion themselves, and there were pictures of L. Ron Hubbard hanging on the walls, who was a science fiction writer and founder of Scientology in the 70s. Not only that, but on the Academy's website, which has since been removed, it actually mentioned the study technology as, quote, "an educational model developed by L. Ron Hubbard." Number 7, investigated by CPS. This incident was not widely known at all because it happened in 2015 when Willow was barely a teenager. Jada admitted on the Red Table Talk in 2019 that she was furious after Child Protective Services showed up to the family home to investigate whether or not her daughter Willow was being starved. It all started when a 14-year-old Willow was photographed while lying in bed next to her shirtless family friend, who was 20 at the time. While she insisted that the photo was innocent, it was definitely extremely controversial, and CPS also thought so too. So they decided to intervene after the agency received a complaint accusing the Smiths of starving their teenager. When recalling the incident, Jada admitted that it was the first time she got really furious. Quote, "I was looking at the lady and the whole time I was thinking, you could be helping so many kids right now, and you're wasting your time with a child who has everything they need." According to the actress, both Willow and Jaden exhibited passive behavior throughout the visit and said that it was like their own personal protest to being investigated by the agency. Number 6, substance misuse. When Jada was young, she had some very real issues dealing with the addiction that came with substance misuse. She also acknowledged that she drank excessively and used all kinds of narcotics. Quote, "For me, drinking red wine was like drinking a glass of water. I drank a lot in in high school, and then I went on to mix everything up. She then recalls a time that she mixed a variety of illicit substances that are a dangerous combination when used together. While on her talk show, she recounted before her mother and daughter that she was high functioning during the week and consumed almost no alcohol for several days, but spent her weekends at parties. Quote, "From Thursday to Monday morning, it was non-stop. Things went on like this for a while, until one episode that changed everything forever. It was in 1996, during the filming of The Nutty Professor, that a young Jada went to work still high off one of her partying binges, and she was in very bad condition. She went on to say that she passed out on set and told everyone it must have been from expired medication, and that was the wake-up call she needed. So when looking back on that time, she sees the whole thing as a miracle."
At number 5, we have the whole Future IG story mess, where Future made comments on Will and Jada's marriage after Jada opened up about intimacy on one of her Red Table Talks to explain how a partner should know what she wants in the bedroom. Future first got involved after online memes started circulating about Will needing to hang out with him, who has a reputation for being involved with multiple women all the time, which implied that Will should learn to be more like Future in that sense. During her RTT, Jada described her partner's need to love her enough to know every part of her, which netizens thought implied Will didn't love her the way she was demanding. Twitter users also took her statements literally, which in turn sparked the whole debate of whether or not she embarrassed Will by saying she'd really bring Future to the Red Table. Charlemagne the God even questioned on his show once if Will was ever jealous of Jada and Tupac's relationship, where Will speaks about being insecure because of their tight bond. At number 4, we have Jada and her top-level narcissism. A user on Quora once described Jada as a histrionic, borderline narcissist, and their opinion on it in short is that Jada provokes Will's touch of feminism nature to bruise his ego. This user even explained why they feel Will has narcissistic tendencies and may even be one himself. They said, "When you are involved with a highly narcissistic person, your mind is not your own." Jada said to Will, "We're ride or die, bad marriage till the end. I knew then, they're both narcs." Will's masculinity suffered a narcissistic injury when Jada had a fling with a troubled young musician, a friend of her kid. Then Will went on Red Table to discuss it and she emasculated him. Will was triggered in the beginning by her obsession with Tupac. He took all of it out on Chris Rock when Jada gave him that look that triggered him to slap Chris. Chris was an easier target, that's my theory. Now, if we reel back to the public sharing of Willow's letter to Tupac, it made people feel like Jada was super self-absorbed for exploiting her daughter for her own selfish reasons. One YouTuber even commented on a video regarding Jada's behavior with the following: "This woman somehow thinks she's a higher power, just out there healing the world, while realistically destroying all those close to her like narcissists do." Big yikes.
Starting off our list today at number 10, we have Forced to Marry Will, with Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith's marriage being the top subject when it comes to scandals over the last year. It's left us all wondering when Jada might just stop, grow up, and stop making jabs at her husband in an attempt to embarrass him any further. When the actress's reaction after the Oscar ceremony in 2022 was to condemn her husband for slapping Chris Rock, the incident led the press to review previously published content around the couple. And a video then re-emerged from 2018, where in it, Jada could be seen stating that she never wanted to get married and she was forced to marry Will because she was pregnant. The video would actually turn out to be an episode from her Red Table Talk podcast, which featured her, Will, their daughter Willow, and Jada's mother. In the interview, Jada would say she was under so much pressure and she didn't know what to do, but her mother forced her to marry Will. Number 9, substance use. Back in 2021, Jada would candidly detail her past issues with substances and alcohol, where she would say that she was a walking miracle after kicking her addictions. During her Red Table Talk, Jada would open up about how she used to combine wine with other forms of substances when she developed a tolerance to solely drinking. She would then go on to say, "I wasn't doing things that I thought were addictive, but I would do those 3 together. That was my cocktail. Your threshold becomes so high that what it takes for you to get to the place you need to get to, it will take me 2 bottles to get to, okay? If I do substances with alcohol at the same time, I get there faster and I can keep the feeling going." Jada then said she went cold turkey one day after she had a health scare on the set of the 1996 The Nutty Professor professor as she passed out on set and made a total fool of herself. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Number 8. Comments about the Oscars. Just when the confrontation that happened between Will Smith and Chris Rock had become one of the most discussed topics around the world, a lot of people had their say on the comedian's joke and the actor's decision to respond by slapping the comedian. And if things couldn't get any better, Jada Pinkett Smith then broke her silence on the issue when she chose to write a message on her social media account saying, "This is a season for healing and I'm here for it." Though Jada didn't say anything during the controversial moment, she did, however, make sure she was in the center of it going forward, as she claimed that she hoped Will and Chris could eventually heal and reconcile one day, and that she never forced her husband to slap Chris. Her and Will were moving forward and were going to focus on their lives. But it all just seemed a little too sus, and she shouldn't have said anything, and she should have just more supported her husband through this hard time. Number 7. Dealing with Tupac. Even decades after his passing, people still have questions about what his relationship was with Jada Pinkett Smith, especially since Jada once said, "When we first met, I was a dealer. That's how we started." The actor then went on to say that something very bad made her leave that life behind. But while she was getting out, she was getting further involved with Tupac, and her relationship turned into a survival moment, as she even once had to bail out the rapper for $100,000. Their friendship still raises eyebrows today, especially since Will Smith admitted to being jealous of the late rapper, as in his mind he was tortured by their connection because Jada loved Pac, and this rendered him to the point he couldn't even be friends with Pac when he was still alive. Number 6. The Matrix controversy. The Matrix franchise is well known for revolutionizing the cinema world with its stunning visuals and graphics. From the very release of the first movie, The Matrix made an everlasting impact on the souls of the audience, with the franchise being represented well by Keanu Reeves and Carrie Ann Moss. Did you know that the hit duo actually could have been represented by celebrity couple Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith? But since Will Smith refused to play the hit character of Neo in the blockbuster franchise, as the actor was in no mood to shoot another Alien movie after Independence Day, Jada Pinkett Smith would fail to be selected for the role, and she blames it on Will, as she didn't have any chemistry with Reeves, which resulted in her to lose the role. So it goes on to show that she just has trouble connecting with other people on set when they aren't her friend or family members. The actress did, however, go on to grab a role in the franchise after she lied about not being pregnant. Number 5. Her love for Tupac. Jada Pinkett Smith and Tupac both met at Baltimore School of Arts in Maryland in the late 1980s, and they became close friends. And in the past, Jada has tried to say that the two weren't involved romantically, but we all know that's a lie. And almost a month after Will Smith and Chris Rock's altercation, an interview with Jada and Tupac's friend started to resurface on the internet, and in the interview, Tupac's friend would state that Tupac had a lot of love and lots of respect for Jada. However, they then went on to claim that there was this time where he witnessed Tupac become extremely upset by something Jada said to him. When they went on to say, "The second time I have probably heard him talk about her is when he went to LA. He was very upset, you know what I mean? Pac came out of the room and was like, Jada had gone contact me and tell me don't do nothing with Will Smith." Over the years, it seems like Jada has never been shy to share her love that she had for Tupac. As for what would have been his 50th birthday party, she went on to share a never before seen poem that he gave her, and it's clear at the end of the day she still loves him, and that's probably why she causes Will so much problems. Number 4. Too full of herself. When the Los Angeles Times caught up with Hubert to ask her to clarify her criticism of Jada, Hubert would claim that Jada and her husband clearly needed to get over themselves when she said, "You ain't all that, you're not kings and queens, you're not royalty, you're simply entertainers." But that's clearly not how the Smiths see it. Vivica A. Fox once even fought back tears as she spoke about Jada Pinkett Smith's remarks about her husband smacking Will Smith at the Academy Awards in 2022, when the actress said on an episode of Wendy Williams' show that Jada took no accountability for her role in the incident on her Red Table Talk. Fox then went on to explain she believes Jada played a part in the incident when she said, "Will was defending her honor. That's the reason he walked on the stage and slapped, because he felt like his wife had been offended." She then went on to note that because Jada took no accountability, it made her seem so self-righteous and full of herself. Number 3. Scientology school. school. At one point in time, Jada Pinkett Smith forced her husband to help her open a school in one of their homes called the New Village Leadership Academy. With the school shutting down just a couple of years after being open, it would only shut down as people started to point out that the school was really revolved around the controversial Scientology religion. With the Smiths denying that the allegations that the school was in fact a Scientology school, employees who were employed within the school have stated that the curriculum did in fact revolve around Scientology technology, methodology that Scientology utilizes. It also didn't help that the school's staff included plenty of Scientologists, as the former director of learning, director of qualifications, artistic director, and the 2009 school administrators were all confirmed to be Scientologists. Number 2, the affair. It seems like just after the whole world was done talking about Jada's affair with her son's friend August Alsina, it would be brought out again after new details were released to the public earlier this month. As after August watched Chris Rock's Netflix special, he told the Post he thought it was not only funny, but it was also truthful. And that was the best part for him. So when Rock finally went public about his thoughts about being slapped by Will Smith at the 2022 Oscars in his Netflix comedy special Selective Outrage, he would speculate that Smith only smacked him not over his joke about Jada's baldness, but because he was unleashing built-up anger he had over his wife's affair. A source would then confirm that August was happy to see Chris Rock advocating the truth, as everyone has been against him since the whole affair was exposed. And considering Jada downplayed their relationship with her son's friend for 4 years, Will was led to believe that nothing was going on until she embarrassed him on the Red Table Talk, and since Hollywood has been wondering what kind of woman she exactly is, because she's not normal, that's for sure. And coming in number 1 today, we have Not in Demand. After a promising breakout performance as Maureen in the 1997 film Scream 2, Jada's career looked to be heading in the right direction, but then it was stalled in the following years to come after she gained a role in the film Woo. Variety described it as being an unfunny comedy that brought out the worst in just about everybody involved in the film. In years to come, Jada was only able to land supporting roles, but her record with critics has been spotty at best. Despite her best efforts, studios have not been keen on casting her as a leading lady, and the only successful role she's been able to gain a leading role is for her voice work as Gloria on the animated film franchise Madagascar. She even did a really bad job playing Fish Mooney in Fox's DC crime drama Gotham. Starting off our list today in the number 10 spot, we have Toxic. Toxic femininity is usually less obvious than when you compare it to toxic masculinity, because much of it is masked by the display of insincere emotions, with Jada showing a history of passive aggression, backstabbing, display of jealousy, defaming other men or women, and using people to take an unfair advantage. She has been applauded by her bad behavior, as people have labeled her to be empowering. Throughout her marriage, Jada has claimed that she was forced to get married and that she was crying when she had to walk down the aisle at 3 months pregnant with her first child. Within her relationships, the toxic femininity translates to emotional, verbal, and psychological abuse. Her overall behavior has even caused generational damage, and she needs to work on herself and heal her life so her children can understand what a healthy relationship is. Number 9. Clashed with Snoop Dogg. In the wake of Kobe's passing in 2020, Jada Pinkett Smith wasn't afraid to call out Snoop Dogg over his comments towards Gayle King, and in the process she started a difficult conversation about misogyny after King mentioned a woman accused Kobe of unwanted advancements. Snoop then posted a video on his Instagram where he talked about the issues, and in it he insulted King's appearance before telling her, "Back off, B, before we come get you." As a result, Jada brought the rapper on her Red Table Talk show to try to clear the air, where she would say, "When you first came out and said what you said, you know, in regards to Gayle, my heart dropped." Jada then explained to her old friend that when he said what he said, she felt hurt on behalf of all women. Snoop did end up apologizing to King after Jada embarrassed him on her show by taking to his Instagram to say, "When you're wrong, you gotta fix it. I was raised way better than that. that, so I would like to apologize to you publicly for the language that I use, calling you out of your name, and just being disrespectful. But did Jada really have to embarrass him? Because this could have just been a private conversation between friends. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming at number 8, we have poor communication. During an episode of the Red Table Talk back in 2018, Will revealed that he had some pretty poor communication with Jada when they got into arguments, as she just likes to raise her voice and curse him out instead of speaking about their issues like normal people. Will then brought up a significant moment that launched their communication when he said that they were playing Pictionary with 20 other people, and this included Will's son Trey from his previous marriage. Will had his son on his lap, and at the time he was only 1 or 2 years old, and Jada cursed him out in front of everyone by saying, "Will, would you shut the F up?" It got so bad that Will even had to bring her into another room to explain to Jada that because of his upbringing, he didn't wish to be in a relationship that involved the use of profanities and violent language. Number 7, the controversial podcast. When it comes to the Red Table Talk, it's definitely a one-of-a-kind talk show that features a one-of-a-kind family. While the show was created with good intentions, as the family just wanted to create a safe space where they could talk about some pretty weird topics, the conversations have become real, raw, unfiltered conversations, where not only the family has exposed their darkest secrets, but other celebrities as well. And while the show has gone on to gain quite an impressive fan base, the in-depth conversations have become pretty controversial when it comes to the hot button issues that are discussed, and it has hurt Jada's career to the point she can't even get casted in anything, and she really hasn't worked on anything since her role in the Scream franchise. Number 6, the open marriage. The Smiths have received a lot of scrutiny over their marriage, especially since Jada addressed the rumors surrounding it in 2009 when she told Atlanta's Q100, "I've heard all the things. Their marriage is not real. He's gay, she's gay. They swing." The actor then dismissed the idea that they had anything to prove. Then in an interview later with US Weekly, she would add on to her claims by adding that people are going to think whatever they wanted, and it was too hard to be in a pretend marriage. In recent years, however, they have admitted that they have an unconventional approach to their marriage, as when it comes to their relationships, they have chosen monogamy. On top of that, they've given each other trust and freedom with the belief that everybody has to find their own way, and they do this so their marriage just doesn't feel like a prison. But honestly, it just sounds like this was all Jada's choosing. Number 5, can't take a joke. The biggest talking point from the Oscars in 2022 was the fact that Will Smith took to the stage to smack Chris Rock after he made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's appearance. When Rock was presenting the award for Best Documentary, he would say, "Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see you." Well, everyone in the crowd went on to laugh, including her husband Will, when Jada was seen rolling her eyes and scrutinizing her husband for laughing at the joke that hits hard to home, as she has been struggling with alopecia. As soon as Will seen her clasping her hands together and giving Rock and him a disappointed sideways look, Will would be forced to take the stage to defend his wife's name and image, so he wouldn't have to go home and hear, "Tupac would have never done that to me, so why did you?" But instead, she forced him to embarrass himself and end his career, and that's why Hollywood just can't get over it. Chris is known to roast people. You could have just simply roasted him back. Number 4, stole Will away from his ex-wife. So before Will and Jada actually got married, Will Smith was in a previous relationship with Sherry Fletcher. And apparently, before he and his ex-wife split, Jada actually started dating him. She even admitted to being a homewrecker when she said, "Because I did not understand marriage, I did not understand divorce. I probably should have fallen back," but she obviously didn't fall back as she just kept making advancements. During the process, she then became pretty standoffish when it came to his ex-wife over time, and at one point, Will even had to put her in her place over the issue, after she had an argument with Fletcher over the phone. Will was not happy with Jada, and Jada would later say his take was that this is my son Trey's mother, and that's not your place. But Jada did make sure she wanted to put Fletcher in her place by making a point that she was the one and Fletcher was not. Number 3, treated like a peasant. Did you know that Will Smith once took 3 years to plan a super extravagant birthday party for Jada's 40th birthday? And instead of appreciating the thought and the gesture that he took, she was less than pleased about her husband's gift. When Will was super happy about all the hard work he put in trying to make it the best gift for Jada, she was underwhelmed and lashed out at Will to the point it made him hit a low point in his life. Will went to great lengths when he planned Jada's birthday, and he even hired an orchestra and a documentary team to trace Jada's family roots. While most people would appreciate the gesture, Jada would claim that the whole thing was actually just a party that showed off Will's ego. And while Will continued to go on to treat his wife like a queen that night, she just went on to show him that he was just a peasant. That's just really sad. Number 2, hates woman. Jada's never been afraid to be vocal, especially when it comes to her Red Table talk show. In one episode, the world saw Jada note that she found it difficult to be interested in having relationships with white people, when she addressed that she was biased when it came to white women, especially if they had blonde hair, mostly because of bullying she was subjected to in school. She then went on to say, "I have to admit, I'm guilty to that to a certain degree because I do have my own biases, specifically to blonde women. Blonde hair on white women triggers me. I've had to catch myself." She then went on to address that she realized her own hypocrisy, as she stated that her past didn't give her the right to put all blonde women in the same category, but she was still going to continue doing it anyways. And coming in number 1 today, we have disrespectful. So when a clip resurfaced, it would show Jada Pinkett Smith underwhelmed reaction to a surprise birthday party Will Smith planned for 3 years, and the video would have the internet divided. When Jada's 37th birthday was over, Will took it upon himself to throw an extravagant birthday for her 40th birthday party. But when that date finally hit, things didn't go as well as Will was expecting things to go. In fact, her reaction was not ideal, and it made Will hit a low point in his life. Jada then ripped Will apart later on her Red Table talk show when she told the actor she was going through a midlife crisis and she thought his gesture was just a ridiculous display of his ego. She felt like the party just wasn't for her. Everyone felt like Jada's response was rude and disrespectful, as he treated her like a queen and she really just ended up treating him like a peasant. Coming in at number 10, we have The Affair. The world was completely shocked when R&B singer August Alsina came forward to admit that he has had an affair with Jada Pinkett Smith in 2015. What was even more shocking is that when August sat down with The Breakfast Club for an interview with Angela Yee, he would say, "I actually sat down with Will and had a conversation due to the transformation from their marriage to life partnership. He gave me his blessing." August then went on to insist that he hasn't done anything to be ashamed of and that he loved the Smiths, before saying, "I totally gave myself to that relationship for years of my life, and I truly, really deeply love and have a ton of love for her. I devoted myself to it." Then many people started to claim that Jada has taken advantage of August since he was in a vulnerable time in his life, as the singer was only 22 and he was struggling with his health due to an autoimmune condition that left him hospitalized on multiple occasions. One inside source would even also reveal to Page 6 that when Jada said she was mentoring August through it all, she was only really destroying him.
At number 3, we have Jada's infidelity. Of course, she was out of line by her entanglement with August Alsina, especially because he was her son's friend and most likely vulnerable at the time. Plus, her messy affair with the R&B singer was later revealed by Will to have occurred after he and Jada were already separate. Despite this, Jada admitted to this affair of cheating when she and Will were not together but still married. But how she went about it was weird given what Will confirmed. She first made claims that Will gave his blessing for their affair, but the internet did not agree. It wasn't until Will publicly stepped forward to admit that Jada wasn't the only one being unfaithful that social media decided to ease up, though not by much. Still, people think Will's admission was a way to save face, but also to touch back on the rumors surrounding him and his Focus co-star Margot Robbie engaging in an affair of their own. Will's admission that he didn't give Jada permission to date because they weren't even together means their words, stories, and sides just aren't adding up. Regardless, Will says nothing Jada will do can ever change things for them now that they're open, because these were the terms they came to from the jump. Will and Jada are no longer described as married, but as life partners instead. It's been detailed that Will may just be playing Jada's game because he doesn't want to lose her for good. At number 2, we have one of Hollywood's biggest drama queens. Well, maybe that's a bit of a stretch here, but Jada is known for being one for the dramatics, and that's been noted because of her household full of drama. However, it's also been detailed that both Will and Jada are equally responsible for the drama that occurs in their home. Still, with all of Jada's major backlash every time she speaks, and being labeled as messy and difficult due to her outing intimate details of her relationship to the public with no real remorse for Will's feelings, it's safe to say that the majority of the public is leaning on the side of Jada being the chaos enabler. At number 1, we have Jada's lack of boundaries. This one is a no-brainer, I'm sure, because we all know Jada has a tendency to air it all out, whether it's intentional or not. Jada has been described as someone who overshares too much to the public, and this severely impacts her family. She's not very private about anything, which shows there are no boundaries in her relationships overall. In particular, she has no respect for Will by exposing everything about their relationship, which is just tasteless. And before you say this is unfair, we literally know everything we do know about them now because of Jada. She was the one who admitted to infidelity, which really should have been something Will was warned about before it went public, since Will was clearly caught off guard by the news of August telling the world he gave them permission. She was also the one talking openly about her intimacy once while her mother was present. Jada also constantly speaks so horribly about her marriage in general, so I'm sure you get the point now.
Kris Jenner. Believe it or not, the Kardashian clan used to be super close to the Smith family, particularly because Kris's kids got along super well with Jada and Will's kids. In fact, Kendall and Jaden are still super close, but we never see the adults hanging out anymore. It's very likely that their friendship didn't survive the whole famous Khloe Kardashian, Tristan Thompson, Jordyn Woods love triangle in 2019. After Jordyn was exposed for making out with Khloe's ex Tristan, Jada decided to have Jordyn on her talk show, Red Table Talk, to reveal her side of the story. The interview featured a ton of sympathy for Jordyn as she said her piece about what went down. Jada and Will have known Jordyn since she was born because her father worked on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Apparently, after the allegations came to light, Jordyn came to Jada asking for help. Quote, "I just wanted her to have a platform to tell her story. That's it. She's a young, beautiful woman inside and out, and me having been a young girl, we sometimes get into situations that we don't necessarily know how to handle." It's likely that all this sympathy towards Jordyn led the Kardashian matriarch to cut ties with Jada, as they were never seen getting close after the incident. Promptly after the interview, the Jenners and the Kardashians all unfollowed Jada and Will on Instagram and vice versa. That being said, they still let their kids hang out, as Jaden was spotted at Kendall's infamous controversial 2020 birthday bash. Next up is Olivia Jade. While there's no overt animosity between Jada and Olivia Jade, there was definitely some very public discussion of having her on the Red Table Talk show. After the college admissions scandal that put Olivia Jade's mother, Lori Loughlin, in jail for attempting to cheat her daughter's way into college, Olivia Jade attempted to go onto Red Table Talk to set records straight. She went onto the talk show in 2020, and Jada's co-host, her own mother, was extremely public about her distaste for Olivia's appearance. Jada's mom stated, quote, "I fought it tooth and nail. I just found it really ironic that she chose 3 black women to reach out to for her redemption story. I feel like here we are, a white woman coming to a black woman for support when we don't get the same from them. It's bothersome to me on so many levels. Her being here is the epitome of white privilege to me. And honestly, it's hard not to see her point." The whole time Olivia Jade was on the show, she just kept talking about, "Oh, poor me. I didn't realize how privileged I am, blah blah blah." And Jada's mom let her have it. She told Olivia straight to her face, quote, "There is so much violent dehumanization that the black community has to go through on a daily basis, right? There's so much devastation, particularly this year, 2020, and everything being brought to the table. There is so much inequality and inequity that when you come to the table with something like this, it's like, child, please. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted with everything we have to deal with as a community, and I just don't have the energy to put into the fact that you lost your endorsements and you're not in school right now." Whoa, I can't even imagine that going over super well on the friendship mark, especially considering this public blasting was broadcasted all over. Next up is Tom Segura. While this may be more towards Will Smith, Tom Segura has held absolutely nothing back when torching the Smith family online for the Oscars slap incident. Obviously, a lot of celebrities are ticked off at Will Smith right now, but Tom definitely brought his distaste for Jada into this rant. In a series of tweets, he said, quote, "Let me tell you this, man. The idea that you're entitled thinks because your feelings are hurt, you get to one of the all-time greats because you feel, and then the cowards, the spineless cowards that are in Hollywood and comedy. We have all the lists of the guys. It's insane. It's like a gross exaggeration. You see it all the time. I mean, you see entitlement everywhere, and that was on full display for the world to see. I have zero respect for that, and I feel like more people need to come out and say it. It's unacceptable." Damn. Tom, tell us how you really feel. That being said, it's unclear if the
in question is Will or Jada. It could be either or both in this situation. Either way, I doubt Tom will be invited to any Smith family dinners in the near future.
Her kids. Jada and Will share 2 kids together, Jaden and Willow Smith. But there have been a lot of people who've doubted their parenting skills, including Child Protective Services. CPS showed up at their home to investigate after a picture showed 13-year-old Willow laying in bed with family friend Moises Arias, who was 20 at the time. While a source told Radar that the case was, quote, being taken very seriously by the department, Jada told reporters, quote, there was nothing indecent about that picture or that situation. Will and Jada's parenting style is pretty lax. Will admitted in the past the couple, quote, do not punish when it comes to their kids. The couple says they would rather give them as much control over their lives as possible. Adding, quote, the way that we deal with our kids is that they are responsible for their lives. Our concept is, as young as possible, give them as much control over their lives as possible. And on the concept of punishment, our experience is that it has a little too much of a negative quality. Jaden is also a fan of the ways parents discipline, telling Metro that it works pretty well. Although most kids would jump at the chance to have their parents stop nagging them. However, there might be times when it's appropriate to put limits on kids, as they might not understand the consequences of what's happening at that time. One example of this could be Jaden's past friendship with actress Zoe Kravitz. Zoe is 10 years older than Jaden, and Zoe admitted to hanging out with Jaden alone when he was just 14 years old. Although nothing inappropriate happened between them, other parents might want to limit that sort of interaction. Cherie Zampino. Cherie Zampino was married to Will Smith before he and Jada got married. The shady part is that Will and Jada started dating before he and Cherie were officially divorced. Jada's mother, Adrienne Banfield Jones, dished on Access, quote, I think initially when Will first called you, I think he was still married or he was just separated, and I was like, he's not available to you. Jada added that Will was the div, and the Orst didn't happen yet. But Jada later admitted that when she learned things were not finalized, she should have backed off. To make matters worse, Jada has claimed on multiple occasions that she never even wanted to marry Will. She only decided to go forward with it because she got pregnant. Her mother and Will thought that starting a family was the best idea, and Jada reluctantly agreed. Later, the couple agreed to an open marriage. And finally, Jada herself. So I think we all know what happened at the 2022 Oscars between Will Smith and Chris Rock, but I'll give you guys a quick refresher. While Rock was on stage to present an award, he made a joke about G.I. Jane, directed at Jada Pinkett Smith, because she had a bald head at the event. Initially, Will Smith laughed at the joke, but after seeing that his wife did not approve, he got up on the stage, interrupted Chris and the show, and slapped him in the face. Everyone was shocked, but later many came to Will's defense because Jada had been open about her struggles with alopecia. But a few days after the event, many were calling Jada a hypocrite. TikToks of hers that she made days before the show resurfaced, clapping back at those that made fun of her short hair. In one clip she said, quote, she doesn't give 2 craps about what people say about her bald head. But clearly that's not true, or she would have been able to take the joke. In the rest of the video, she talks about how her hairstyling for so many years is part of the reason she developed alopecia. Jada shared that she was pressured to present her hair throughout her decades on the big screen and magazine covers. The treatments were used to give her straight hair, but they also caused her hair loss. That's not the only time her behavior has been a bit shady. The actress revealed that she can actually be pretty rude, specifically to people she loves the most. On an episode of her show Red Table Talk, she revealed that she's done so many horrible things to people she loves because of her ego, adding, quote, once my ego kicks in, we are in trouble. That Jada baby, she ain't cute, she's a vicious one, and she's mean. She also admitted that she got confrontational towards some of her husband's admirers, revealing, quote, there was only like 1 or 2 times where I might have gotten a little hostile when I felt people stepped over a boundary that they were disrespectful. Now we got an issue. She did know that she is doing her best to improve these behaviors, but obviously we would hope that she would be nice to people all of the time. First up, August Alsina. Without August Alsina coming forward, we would have no idea about his affair or entanglement with Jada Pinkett Smith. Will and Jada have been married for 20 years, but it seems that they've been anything but conventional, and the pair have revealed that they have an open marriage. Alsina spilled the beans on his relationship with Jada while on Angela Yee's radio show. When speaking about Jada, he said, quote, I totally gave myself to that relationship for years of my life, and I truly, really deeply love her. Alsina even claimed that Will gave the couple his blessing to be together, although Jada denies this. Jada admitted to having an affair with August, but downplayed it as an entanglement. During the Red Table Talk segment where they spoke of the affair, Will looked visibly angry about the situation, and pushed Jada to admit she did have a relationship with August. After admitting to cheating, Jada didn't really apologize or seem remorseful, she instead just deflected,
saying, quote, "I was in a lot of pain. I was very broken," saying she only wanted to help August, but it turned into a relationship. Jada said that this entanglement with August happened while she and Will were on a break, and their marriage was really struggling. After Jada called their relationship an entanglement, Alsina told Vulture, quote, "If you look up the definition of an entanglement, it's a complex and difficult relationship. It was exactly that. I think it's just the language that probably stuck out to people." Adding, quote, "But I definitely have to agree with it being an entanglement. It definitely was something complicated, a complicated dynamic." Even though it doesn't seem like Jada is ashamed of anything that she did, it is strange that she tried to deny it, then downplayed it when she could not brush it off anymore. She's also been accused of using her husband's pain for clicks on her Facebook show, but we'll get more into that later. Next up, Will Smith. Since Jada started being so open about her life on her Facebook show, Red Table Talk, she has consistently embarrassed her husband, Will Smith. Most notably was that episode where they spoke about their marriage and the affair that Jada had with August. In that episode, Will admitted to his wife, quote, "The fact that I am talking to you is a miracle," clearly showcasing the tension in their marriage. And then Will went viral after that interview, and a meme called the, quote, "Sad Will meme" spread quickly online. Will brushed off the commentary from that episode, saying he was not sad in that interview, rather he had a long day and was just very tired. He told GQ about the meme, quote, "I'm not sad, I'm effing exhausted." It seems that Will puts his relationship on the line for Jada and their marriage whenever asked, while she doesn't do the same. The most clear-cut case of this was his Oscar slap. Maybe he knew that if he didn't defend his wife in that moment, that would put another strain on their relationship. Will has also admitted that they're only in an open relationship because of Jada. Will has revealed their open marriage was Jada's idea, since she, quote, "has never believed in conventional marriage and had family members that had unconventional relationships." Jada has even shared private information regarding their intimate moments. When Jada had Gwyneth Paltrow on the Red Table Talk, Jada revealed that her intimate relationship with Will was struggling, and that it had been hard for them to keep the spark alive. Jada said, quote, "The accountability part really hit for me because I think you expect your partner to know what you need, especially when it comes to Fans quickly came to Will's defense against her, calling out Jada for speaking so poorly of her husband. One person even tweeted a meme of Jada asking herself, quote, "I wonder how I can embarrass this man this month." Next up, Gabrielle Union. One of Jada's most notable feuds is with fellow actress Gabrielle Union. Neither woman could remember why they feuded in the first place, and Union recalled always feeling strange about the way Jada treated her. Jada decided to clear things up with Union on none other than her show Red Table Talk. Jada said on the show, quote, "She and I did not talk for 17 years and we could not remember why. There was just tension between us every time we would see each other. There was some moment that we had that it just left a bad taste in both of our mouths. When we got on the phone to try and figure out what it was, we could not figure it out." In 2018, Jada had Union on the show where they finally put the beef to rest for good. The pair talked about their strange feud and how there was always tension between them, but neither had any reason to not be friendly. Smith said, quote, "It felt so good to even just go, hey, I'm sorry that I didn't even take the time to talk to you. And then I had to just apologize and just think to myself, damn Jada, that was some petty stuff." Union later told Today that she was not sure why Jada did not like her. She felt it was the media and other people that pitted them against one another, but thankfully they are on better terms now.
Next up is August Alsina. While I think maybe this one is a bit of a stretch because it's hard to hate someone who's actively keeping you relevant, I do think that August Alsina can't be happy with how his name has been dragged through the mud with this weird open marriage thing that he was involved with. He claimed to have dedicated years of his life to Jada after they had initially been introduced when Jaden brought him home as a friend. Although the two had their affair while Jada and Will were separated, it didn't stop the actor from writing an entire album called Entanglements about her. It has also just been announced that he's going to write a memoir about his time with Jada, which I am like 99% sure is to A, keep him relevant, and B, to drag Will and Jada's name through the ringer. Next up is Sheree Zampino. Sheree Zampino is the ex-wife of Will Smith, who he had one son with named Trey. Although this feud is largely over, Jada openly admitted to really disliking her husband's ex-wife, and the feeling was very mutual. When they began their relationship, Jada and Sheree hated each other. They had a lot of issues with their blended family, which basically meant them all co-parenting the kids that they all had with Will. Zampino recalls a moment when she had to speak to Will about their son Trey, but Jada picked up the phone. Quote, "You picked up the phone and I wasn't really respectful. You basically let me know, I don't really appreciate your tone, and I was like, it doesn't matter. And you hung up on me. I called back and I happened to say, bitch, you're living in the house that I picked out." The two then shared a laugh with one another, so I guess this one doesn't really count because they've definitely made amends with one another. Despite having an extremely rocky relationship to begin with, they seem to get over it for the sake of Will Smith and their kids. Okay, this next one is just for laughs, but Will Smith. I mean, God, they must have had an extremely hard time within their marriage because Jada, for better or for worse, constantly lays it out on the table. She airs her dirty laundry with Will genuinely constantly, and a lot of fans think that the Men in Black actor is so stricken with Jada that he won't see just how inappropriate her behavior is. For example, always on her talk show, Jada insinuated that Will doesn't know how to please her in bed when she was discussing intimacy with Gwyneth Paltrow. Also openly admitted to cheating on Will, and she had an extremely intimate relationship with Tupac Shakur despite her claiming never to have dated him. I can't imagine all that going over super well, especially when we, as the ever watchful public, know all of these things. I think it would be a much easier pill to swallow if the entire internet weren't calling Will a but here we are. And now that the Oscars slap thing happened because Will was defending Jada's hair loss, it really does feel like a house that's so full of pretension and privilege that I think people have just kind of largely given up on the couple. Anyways, listen, I know it was so tough finding celebrities who openly hate Jada. Not that she's a particularly good person, but like, why even have the public beef?
Number 9. The forced open marriage. The Smiths have received a lot of scrutiny when it comes to their marriage, especially in 2009. Jada Pinkett Smith went on to address all the rumors that surrounded it. In an interview with Atlanta Q100, Jada would say, "I've heard all the things from their marriage is not real, he's gay, she's gay, they swing." She then went on to prove that the couple has nothing to prove when it comes to the relationship, and she also went on to tell HuffPost in 2013 that she and Will had no claim over each other's lives, and she also told Will that he could do whatever he wanted as long as he was able to look at himself in the mirror and be okay. In recent years, the pair has still continued to admit that they like to take an unconventional approach when it comes to their marriage. But for the most part, it seems like this is Jada's doing, as she wants to mess around with other people and Will doesn't want to lose her, so he sits back and lets his marriage crumble in the process. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming in at number 8, we have Forced into a Cult. Although Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith have insisted they aren't Scientologists, it's kind of hard to believe anything they say when it comes to not being involved with the controversial religion for years. As a former ex-Scientologist member, Lee once told the Daily Beast back in 2017, "I know Jada's in. She's been in Scientology a long time. I never saw Will there, but I saw Jada at the Celebrity Center." Lee then went on to point out that Jada even forced her husband Will to allow her to open a school in one of their homes that was based on Scientology, and she even forced her own kids to go to that school before it shut down. With Jada opening the New Village Leadership Academy in 2008, the school only lasted about 5 years before it closed down. One of the academy's teaching staff even confirmed that they used L. Ron Hubbard's books and Scientology-affiliated study technology, and there's posters of him all around the school as well. Later, Lee even appeared on the Red Table Talk alongside Jada in 2018, where Jada said, "You're gonna learn all the religions, and then you gotta decide which one you want to practice. I always took the position I'm here at the Scientology Center to learn what I want to learn, and I had no interest in being a Scientologist." Number 7. Terrible overacting. I think we can all agree Gotham was a good show, but when they casted Jada as Fish Mooney, it was pretty annoying to watch her destroy the character. The only time she was actually ever tolerable on scene was when she stayed quiet most of the time. The way she just kept slipping into this British accent to "look at me, I'm bad" was just too cheesy and unbearable to listen to. Her acting was too over the top and camp, and any scenes with her in the show could have simply been cut out and the show still would have made sense, because the Batman universe technically doesn't necessarily need her character. Number 6. The Oscars. Although the 94th Academy Award should have been a memorable moment for Will Smith, he ended up making Oscar history for all the wrong reasons. Instead of the media talking about his talent and incredible win, Will sparked major controversy after he took to the stage to slap Chris Rock over the joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's balding head, with Chris comparing Jada to G.I. Jane due to her shaved head. While Will first went on to laugh at the joke when his wife rolled her eyes and gave him hell for it, he took matters into his own hands and defended his wife like she wanted. Now, Jada has been open about her struggles with alopecia, to the point that she told her followers on Instagram in a video early in 2022 that all she could do was laugh when it came to the fact that she had a bald head. So the joke definitely came across a little too close to home, especially since in the past he already threw shots at the actress actress during the 2016 Oscars. Although she did end up saying that she didn't make him do it, she sure did have the power to stop him from leaving his seat in the first place. Number 5. Scientology affiliation. Reports have been stating for years now that Jada Pinkett Smith has had strong ties to the Church of Scientology. Although she has never publicly subscribed to the belief system, many sources have claimed that not only did she once practice Scientology, but she was also heavily involved in it. The information would come to light after a former Scientologist told the Daily Mail that not only was Jada a member, but she was also a recruiter who was paid to lure people into the church. The source also went on to say Jada was always around the Celebrity Center, doing things her own way with Kelly Preston in the president's office. Tony Ortega, who has extensively covered celebrity involvement in Scientology, also said on his blog, The Underground Bunker, "We have known for years that the dedicated Scientology in the family was Jada Smith." And Jada's alleged connections to Scientology did not stop there. In fact, they only appeared to get stronger over time, as she also went on to open a private school for the church in one of her homes. Number 4. The forced marriage. Not only has Jada gone on to roast Will Smith for his actions, but she's also shared in an episode on the Red Table Talk in 2018 that she cried while walking down the aisle on her wedding day because she never wanted to be married. In the video, Jada could be seen talking about her wedding day with Will Smith, and in it, she confessed that she did not want to be married, and she only ended up doing it because her mother forced her to get married because she got pregnant with Jaden while the two were still dating. The actress then went on to say, "It's almost as if Gammy was like, you're going to have to get married, so let's talk about the wedding. I was under so much pressure, you know, being a young actress, and I was like pregnant. I was just like, I didn't know what to do, but I just knew. I was like, I never wanted to be married." She then went on to describe how horrible her wedding actually was, but how can you sit here and tell a man that you never wanted to get married to him and that your mom made you do it, as you control your own actions by this time in your life, not your mother. Number 3. Chris Rock. Before everything happened at the 2022 Oscars, Will and Jada Smith actually had history with Chris Rock, as Jada had been in a full-out feud with the comedian since the 90s, as their beef extends all the way back to 1997, when he took aim at Jada before she got married to Will on his late-night show called The Chris Rock Show. Rock would then begin his roast of Jada when he said, "You know, at the Million Woman March, there were moving speeches from people like Maxine Waters, Winnie Mandela, and here are some inspirational words from the lovely Jada Pinkett." Chris then went on to cut a clip of Jada at the march where she says, "I'm here today because this is an act of power, woman, okay?" She then whittled down a joke where she yelled the lyrics of The Roof is on Fire instead of her speech. He then picked on her again at the 2016 Oscars over her activism. Chris Rock knew something was up with her from the beginning, and that's why a lot of people didn't want to work with her, because she's controversial even when she's trying to do something good. Number 2. She's salty. In an episode on the Red Table Talk, Jada would bring up how she's gotten hostile towards other women who have been disrespectful to her about Will Smith in their marriage. When Willow asked her mother about how she felt about the groupies around her dad, Jada would respond by saying, "I really didn't. I know I was deterrent." Later on in an interview, she also went on to note that there was only like 1 or 2 times where I might have gotten a little hostile, where I felt like people stepped over a boundary and they were disrespectful. I know who I am, and more importantly, he knows who I am, right? It's clear Jada doesn't like other women trying to talk to Will, but yet she can have an affair on her husband and then go on to justify her actions over that said affair. Makes sense. And coming at number 1 today, we have Margot Robbie. Although Jada and Will have been married since 1997, it's clear she doesn't think her marriage is really strong, as she believes Margot Robbie could sweep in at any moment and steal her husband. Even though the couple is in an open marriage, Jada has defended her husband's public comments in appreciation for Margot in 2015, but those said comments have quickly become forgotten, as Jada once made a comment about how she harbors a racial bias towards white women with blonde hair, as they just seem to trigger her. Although she tried to claim that this was because she was bullied by blonde girls in school, it's clear that her comment was an indirect reference to her hostility towards Margot, as apparently Will acts like he's an unmarried man when he's around her. Now it's clear Margot and Will both have chemistry, just watch the movies they're in together, and they're definitely a couple people want to see get together, and this scares Jada to the point she won't stop causing trouble for Will. Starting off our list today in the number 10 spot, we have August Alsina. Social media users have not been going easy on Jada Pinkett Smith since she came clean about her relationship with August Alsina, and since she has been accused of taking advantage of August while he was in his most vulnerable state. It's clear that August never meant anything to Jada, as once she didn't need him anymore, she just tossed him away like he was trash. One person who definitely believes in this notion is Charlamagne, as he tore into Jada during a discussion about her revelation on The Breakfast Club, where he would state that he believes Jada should have used better judgment considering Alsina's age and mental state. When he said, August Alsina, that young man came to her broken, in need of healing, and her response is that I wanted to feel good. I hadn't felt good in a long time, so you slept with him. Never mind what that young man is feeling, you know? You just gotta get yours. And that's just toxic behavior, and you kinda have to agree with that. Number 9, sneak diss Margot Robbie. So we all know Jada and Will have this weird marriage. However, with saying that, it seems like only Jada can have other relationships with men, as she gets hostile towards any other female who even gets close to her husband. Despite her saying that she wants Will to date other women and explore, like she has, it's clear if another woman even comes close to her husband, she secretly disses them and scrutinizes her husband for his unfaithfulness. Although the pair has had an unbreakable bond, when Margot Robbie came into the picture, Will and her started to make headlines for having this secret relationship. Jada soon became a little hostile and headed to her Red Table Talk show to call out the actor. On the show, she would note that she harbors a racial bias when it comes to white women with blonde hair. While the actor tried to blame it on the fact that she was bullied by girls like this in her school, it was clear that she was making an indirect reference to her hostility towards Margot Robbie because she was scared she was going to steal her husband. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming in at the number 8 spot, we have not good at solving problems. Jada once admitted that she was not as smart as she makes herself seem, as she's not exactly acing her test on problem solving. Her kids and husband have even had to teach her and make her realize that her life experiences can help her when it comes to solving certain problems. In an interview with E!, Jada would even admit to her solving problems when she said, "What I learned about myself is when I was younger, I was not a good problem solver, meaning I had a difficult time with dealing with my problems in life. But today I have my wisdom, my heart, and my conscience as the only tools to overcome life's inedible obstacles. I have become a good problem solver with those tools, and I am damn proud." But imagine your husband and kids having to teach you about having to solve problems better because your approach at life was driving them nuts. Number 7, the controversial photo. Back when Willow Smith was only 13 years old, a controversial photo of Willow began to spread across social media as she was shown lying on a bed next to then 20-year-old actor and photographer Moses Arias. While she was shirtless, many people then started to voice their concern about the photo as they thought it was wildly inappropriate, especially considering Willow was very much underage and hanging out with someone who wasn't. Children's Services and then the police got involved, and Jada would then come to her daughter's defense by supporting the photo after she said that TMZ was blowing the photo way out of proportion. Jada would then go on to say, "There's nothing sexual about that picture or the situation. You guys are projecting your trash onto it and you're acting like cover pedophiles. That's not cool." To make matters even worse, there were also people who started to agree with Jada. However, this whole situation was just really creepy. You have to admit that. Number 6, fat shames. Just after the infamous Oscar slap that took place, fans started to deep dive the internet and they started to dig up whatever they could find in regards to Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith's relationship. When Will Smith was set to star alongside Margot Robbie in the 2015 film Focus, let's be honest, Margot Robbie can outshine just about anyone, not just Will Smith, as the actor is one of the best actors in this generation. When Margot made her first encounter alongside Will, it apparently wasn't the greatest experience, because when Jada found out about the casting choice, she embarrassed her husband by fat shaming him and urged him to get into shape because she didn't want him to embarrass her. When he revealed a bit of information while promoting the film, he would say, "When Margot got hired for the gig, Jada saw Margot was young and hot and in shape and said, 'Boy, don't embarrass me, get in shape now.' She's like, 'Don't let that girl smash you on screen.'" But Will has always been in good shape, and the fact she doesn't think her husband is an absolute snack is a complete sin. Number 5, took herself to the red table. In the aftermath of August Alsina's bombshell interview, Jada would admit that there was some healing that needed to take place, and she tweeted that she would be the subject of her next Red Table Talk. She would then force Will to also make an appearance on the episode to share his side of the story. And he would just take everything in as she lied about being temporarily separated from Will when she had her affair with August. The couple then went on to reveal that they also reunited after August was out of the picture because Will and Jada realized they just couldn't stay away from each other. With the clip going viral quickly, Jada just kept repeating the word entanglement rather than using the word affair, and she quickly became an online target for jokes, as did a picture that supposedly showed Will in tears because this show embarrassed him to a T. Number 4, bad hygiene. Because Jada Pinkett Smith loves to use natural products, especially when it comes to her toothpaste, body wash, lotion, and deodorant, she has a bit of a problem when it comes to finding a deodorant and other things that help her smell pleasant. This even got to the point that Hey Humans heard about Jada's problems, that they even sent her formulations of their products so she could try them out. As before, she was having such a hard time finding natural deodorant that her kids kept urging her to use lemon under her armpits so they wouldn't smell her. She would even keep telling them that's not enough odor protection, so instead she just didn't use anything, and it would drive everyone in her family nuts. Also, considering that the roles she's usually casted in cause her to be pretty close to people while doing high impact activity, people on screen with her constantly have to hold their breath or imagine they were in a subway, which just isn't a good look if you think about it. Number 3, bad parenting. So before I get into the bad parenting aspect, I think it's worth mentioning that Will and Jada's kids once freaked out Sony executives to the point they emailed Will about the issues, and he just responded by saying everyone just disses his kids. However, Sony isn't the only ones to question Jada's and Will's parenting, as when Willow was pictured in bed with a 20-year-old man in 2014, it would spark a police investigation. Radar Online would then post an article where they would state the Los Angeles Department of Children and Family Services were looking into the snap of Willow, who was 13 at the time, that was posted online and then later deleted. Will and Jada were extremely cooperative with officials, but they weren't so happy that their parenting skills were under scrutiny. Jada would then break her silence about the issues and would say that there was nothing wrong with the picture or the situation. Number 2, shames people about their money. Back in 2017, in her Showtime comedy special, She's Ready from Hood to Hollywood, Tiffany Haddish would open up about how she used to carry around fake designer handbags, and how her Girl Trip co-star Jada Pinkett Smith made fun of her for it after she experienced a wardrobe malfunction involving one. When Tiffany was hanging out with Jada and Queen Latifah, they were walking around and out of nowhere, the Michael Kors lock on her purse melted off and it hit the ground. Jada then proceeded to ask the comedian, Tiffany, what kind of bag is that? And Tiffany told her it was a Martin Luther King bag and it was free at last. We breaking chains in this thing, girl. That's what type of bag this is. Jada then went on to make fun of Tiffany by saying, Tiffany, you cannot be walking around here with knockoff bags anymore. You have to wear designer stuff. When this movie comes out, you're gonna be considered an A-list actress, and you cannot be walking around here with fake stuff. Tiffany then put Jada in her place by saying, well, until I can afford the real thing, I'm gonna be rocking the fake things, and I have no problem with that, Jada. And coming in number 1 today, we have jumps into drama. When Jordyn Woods was making headlines for destroying Khloe Kardashian's relationship after it was revealed that she and Tristan Thompson hooked up at a party, Jada jumped right onto the chance to bring her on the show to hear her story. In the episode, Jordyn would then break her silence, and she denied all the gossip and claims that things were actually blown out of proportion. In the episode, Jordyn would tell Jada that she knew she would have gone home after the party, but what people were saying about her giving the NBA player a lap dance and making out with him wasn't true, and she did not once go into a bedroom or a bathroom, as they were just in plain sight. With the interview igniting a Twitter firestorm just like Jada wanted, it would cause Khloe to claim that her former family friend was lying. It seems like whenever something big happens, Jada jumps to put herself through the mix. It's almost like she's trying to be Jeffree Star.
First up, Dan Crenshaw. Part of being a comedian is knowing what is crossing the line and what isn't. Pete got some major backlash on SNL after he made fun of politician Dan Crenshaw for wearing an eye patch. Even worse, Crenshaw got the eye patch while fighting in the army overseas. According to ABC News, former Navy SEAL Dan Crenshaw, quote, lost his right eye when an IED exploded during a tour of Afghanistan in 2012. Many comedians would make a point not to make fun of a person with a disability, but Pete did not feel this way and trashed him on SNL. Davidson said during a 2018 episode of the show, quote, quote, "You may be surprised to hear he's a congressional candidate from Texas and not a hitman in a porno movie." He then added, quote, "I'm sorry, I know he lost his eye in a war or whatever." Even fellow SNL cast member Kenan Thompson felt the line was crossed and said on the Today Show, quote, "I personally would never necessarily go there, but it's tough when you're fishing for jokes." Davidson and Crenshaw were able to make amends, and Crenshaw was even featured on an episode of SNL the week after the scandal, where he said some jokes at Pete's expense. Greg Yuna. We all know that Ariana Grande and Pete Davidson went through a hot and heavy romance that even led to an engagement at one point, but it did not last, and after only 5 months of being together, Pete and Ariana split. There was a lot of controversy with the relationship, and from the timeline it seemed like there might have been some cheating when it came to the relationship. A jeweler named Greg Yuna even came forward exposing that Pete wanted a ring in May of 2018. Only a week before Pete and Ariana were official, Pete was in a 4-year relationship with Cassie David, and there's a potential that Pete bought a ring for Cassie but ended up giving it to Ariana. After news of Pete and Ariana's engagement was made public, celebrity jeweler Greg Yuna revealed that Davidson reached out to him about a $93,000 engagement ring back in May of 2018. He said, quote, "Pete called me at the end of May and said, 'Look, I'm getting a ring. This is what I want,' and I told him that I had the right ring for him. He didn't tell me who it was for, but told me to keep it a secret. He didn't tell me anything about it." The reason this is strange is because Cassie and Pete announced their split on May 16th of 2018, so it's hard to tell if the ring was purchased for Cassie or if he bought Ariana the ring before things were finished between him and Cassie. Next up, Cassie David. Cassie was in a long-term relationship with Pete for 4 years before they split, and he publicly moved on to Ariana. At the time, she played it off, acting cool about his public relationship, but in a 2020 interview, she recalled just how difficult it was for her. While speaking with the LA Times, she shared more about their relationship and said that she constantly had to convince him that she loved him. She also revealed that she was the one that ended the relationship because it was becoming too toxic, but apparently a few days after the split, she called him and wanted him back, to which he declined. At that point, he was already with Ariana. Cassie says she was devastated and, quote, "shook uncontrollably in her father's arms during a flight to her sister's college graduation." She added that she couldn't stop thinking about Davidson and Grande immediately falling in love, accompanied by an audio of her baby voice whispering sweet nothings in his ear, dubbed over his past declarations of love and trust to me.
According to multiple sources, the couple has been in marriage counseling and the topic of divorce has been in talks for much of 2020. Sources close to the family with direct knowledge told TMZ that the marriage was in deep trouble for the last half of 2020 in particular. Kim was ready to pull the plug on the relationship at one point, but that was right when Kanye began to have a very public and serious bipolar episode. It's been clear from photos and videos posted online that the couple have already been living separately for a few months now. Kanye has been spending a majority of his time at a massive ranch he purchased in Wyoming, while Kim has been at her home in Calabasas with the kids to finish up filming Keeping Up with the Kardashians. However, even with that show coming to a close, both Kim and Kanye have been absorbed in their own personal business projects and therefore didn't have the time to focus on major life decisions like getting a divorce. Multiple sources also said that Kim has gone back and forth with what to do. At times she believed that divorce was the only option, but other times she still believed that there was a chance at reconciliation. Hence the family vacation that they all went on together late last year. That was purely meant to see if taking a break from their personal work would help repair things between them, but with 4 small kids involved as well, you can understand why Kim desperately wanted to repair that marriage. Another source who was allegedly close to the family told People magazine, he knows that she's done, she's had enough, and she told him that she wants some space to figure out her future, adding, he's okay, he's sad, but okay. He knows the inevitable will happen, and he knows that it's coming soon. In addition to that, Page 6 ran a story on Tuesday that said that the pair were in settlement talks and the divorce was imminent, although no official documents or statements have been made on the matter. So despite Kim and Kanye having major relationship issues, they still haven't confirmed the divorce officially. Now I wouldn't bet against it, but I also don't want to say that this is happening 100%. Kim does have a celebrity divorce lawyer, Laura Wasser, on retainer, but she's been there for years and for a number of other reasons, I'm sure. Although the subject of divorce was discussed with her months ago, Kim still has never given her the green light to file it. Apparently the pair are not contentious or rude with each other, but they do have a lot of differences that range from their political views to just overall lifestyle choices. Each of the sources also wanted to make it clear that no third party was involved, so this isn't going to be some juicy cheating scandal as well. The source also told People magazine, it's the same thing over and over and over again. He's on very thin ice with her right now, and she's truly trying to decide what to do to protect the kids, but also her own sanity. The whole thing is discouraging and difficult for her. I can't even imagine the immense pressure to have 4 kids, your marriage isn't working, and now you have to go through all of this with everyone watching. Either way, I hope they can both find some peace, and if that means splitting up so that they both can grow, I say go with that. However, only Kim and Kanye know what's best for the relationship, and if anything changes, we will be the first to let you know.
Next up, Kanye West. Pete Davidson and Kim Kardashian have been spending a lot of time together recently, and many think the pair are officially dating. Kim used to be married to Kanye West, who was also friendly with Pete at one point in time. So fans think that Pete is breaking bro code code by being with Kim. Kanye apparently also hates that Kim is getting handsy with Pete while out in public. In one resurfaced SNL clip, Pete poked fun at Kanye on a Weekend Update skit years before his date with Kim. Pete joked that Kanye was off his meds and needed to start taking them again. Pete also told Kanye that being mentally ill is not an excuse to be a jackass. Pete also put on a MAGA hat that read, quote, "Make Kanye 2006 again." Then a photo resurfaced of Kanye and Pete out to dinner together at Nobu in 2019. The pair were joined by Kim, Kid Cudi, and Timothée Chalamet. Kim shared 3 photos of the unlikely group smiling while seated around a dinner table at the time, writing, quote, "Happy birthday Kid Cudi," which confirmed that Kanye and Pete were friendly. A source told Hollywood Life that Kanye has commented on Kim and Pete's new romance. The source said, quote, "Kanye was really put off by Kim holding hands with Pete and he did not like it at all. He asked Kim to, quote, please refrain from showing public displays of affection with anyone until their divorce is finalized." The source even added that Kanye has contacted Kris Jenner for info on the new relationship, but she won't give a straight answer. Next up, Ariana Grande. Following the breaking off of their engagement, Ariana is probably the person with the most to say about Pete. They had a 5-month relationship in 2018 that had a bitter end, and their rocky romance gave Ariana the inspiration for her hit album, Thank You Next. Ariana opened up more about their relationship in a 2019 interview with Vogue. Apparently, her friends convinced her to spend the summer in New York after her breakup with Mac Miller. That's where she met Pete. Ari said that she loved Pete, but the relationship was, quote, frivolous and insane, and admitted that she, quote, didn't know him, despite agreeing to marry him, even calling the relationship, quote, an amazing distraction, adding, it was frivolous and fun and insane and highly unrealistic, and I loved him and I didn't know him. These comments rubbed Pete the wrong way, and he clapped back in his Netflix comedy special called Pete Davidson: Alive from New York. He got some flack for talking about their relationship, and he responded, quote, where did she say this stuff? To her friends in the confidence of her own home? No, she said it on the cover of Vogue magazine. Can you imagine if I did that? My career would be over tomorrow if I spray painted myself brown and hopped on the cover of Vogue magazine and just started shitting on my ex. And lastly, Pete Davidson himself. During his relationship with Ariana, the public uncovered some controversial jokes made by Davidson. Some were even at Ariana's expense. Back when they were madly in love, Pete joked about switching Ari's birth control pills with Tic Tacs so that he would be tied to her forever. The joke was told while Pete was talking about how Ariana was the breadwinner in their relationship. He said, quote, I live at her place, she pays like 60 grand for rent, and all I have to do is stock the fridge. Then Davidson spoke about how the man doesn't always need to be the breadwinner in a relationship, adding, quote, last night I switched her birth control with Tic Tacs. I believe in us and all, I just want to make sure that she can't go anywhere. Then it was uncovered that after the tragedy at Ariana's Manchester concert that left 23 of her fans dead, Pete made a tone-deaf joke about it. According to The Mirror, in fall of 2017, Pete joked that Ariana must have realized how famous she was after the attack because, quote, Britney Spears didn't have a tragedy at her concert. Yikes. Ariana came to his defense and told fans that he uses comedy to make people feel better, but her fans still didn't accept the excuse. This is one of many inappropriate jokes that Pete has made over the years. He was also known for oversharing in his relationship to Ariana, and he would talk about their intimate life in public, which Ariana did not like. In at number 10, Nick Lachey. Nick Lachey also exposed Kim for being a little too friendly with the paparazzi in order to get some publicity from him. The singer claims that Kim might have only been dating him for publicity. Apparently, the pair only dated for about a week, and some shady stuff went down. One time he said, let's just say this, we went to a movie, no one followed us there. Somehow, mysteriously, when we left, there were 30 photographers waiting outside. And I think from that story, it's very clear that Kim was tipping off the paparazzi, so there would be photos of them together. And if you didn't already know, unless someone is like incredibly famous, if there are paparazzi when they are out, they definitely tipped off that paparazzi. In at number 9, Jon Hamm. The Mad Men star definitely has some choice words for the Kardashians, and based off what he said, it's clear he does not like the family and doesn't approve of how they rose to fame. With him telling LUK, whether it's Paris Hilton or Kim Kardashian or whoever, stupidity is certainly celebrated. Being an idiot is a valuable commodity in this culture because you're rewarded significantly. It's celebrated. It doesn't make sense to me. So clearly he doesn't like the reality TV stars whatsoever and doesn't like how our society praises socialites like Paris Hilton and the Kardashians. And like, I kinda get where he's going. Like, you know, he has some valid points. In at number 8, Kristin Cavallari. Kristin Cavallari has a very interesting relationship with the Kar-Jenner clan. It all started when Kristin dated Brody Jenner, and through that relationship she also became friends with the Kardashians. But after Brody and Kristin broke up, there was tension between Kristin and Kourtney Kardashian. After Kourtney caught Scott out with Kristin while they were in an off period. And after that, Kristin called out the family for using that information as a publicity stunt to get viewers to their show. And allegedly, after rumors broke that Kristin and Scott were having an affair, the Kardashians refused to deny it, and instead waited to address it on their show, leaving Kristin looking like, the bad, terrible other woman, when it just wasn't even true. More than a little shady if you ask me.
Number 7, Michael Bublé. When Michael Bublé was performing his iHeartRadio live concert in 2011, he made his feelings about Kim Kardashian crystal clear when he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I have a very special guest. Please welcome Kim Kardashian." But after a short pause, Bublé then shot back, "Nah, I'm just effing with you. That B ain't coming on my stage," before transitioning into his cover of Nina Simone's classic Feeling Good, which he said was dedicated to Kris Humphries. Later he would explain that he hated Kim because she hurt Kris and he wished that she hurt him instead. Michael's diss wouldn't be the only backlash Kim would experience after she filed divorce from Kris after only being married to him for 72 days. The reality TV star even had to enlist in a celebrity lawyer, Marty Singer, to fight back against Jonathan Jackson, who claims that she staged her wedding among other things. Number 6, Daniel Craig. It's no lie that the Kardashian family has made millions from living their lives in the public eye thanks to their reality TV show. But one person who is less than impressed by the Kardashian family is Daniel Craig, who launched an astonishing, foul-mouthed rant about the family in an interview with GQ magazine back in 2011. The James Bond star even labeled the clan as effing idiots and criticized those who sell themselves and then make demands about their private life, when he said, "I think there's a lot to be said for keeping your own counsel. It's not about being afraid to go public about your emotions or about who you are and what you stand for, but to sell it off, it's gone. You can't buy it back. You can't buy back your privacy. Oh, I want to be alone? F you. We've been in your living room. We were at your birth. You filmed it for us and showed us the placenta, and now you want some privacy." Referring to the Kardashians, Daniel would then also note that while the clan is worth millions, he doesn't think they were badly off to start in the beginning because of their looks. And then he would go on to say, "You see that? And you think what? You mean all I have to do is behave like an effing idiot on television and then you'll pay me millions? I'm not judging it. Well, I am obviously. So the moral of the story is, if you want to be famous one day, maybe take some notes."
At number 5, Staten Island. Let's stray away from the relationship drama and get back to Pete's comedy to reveal another secret that he might want to keep hidden. I told you about one of the jokes Pete made about a former veteran that didn't go over well, but here's another one that ended up offending his hometown of Staten Island. In 2012, a Category 3 hurricane passed through Staten Island, causing destruction and devastation in the area. Hundreds of people lost their homes and businesses, so with this somber aftermath, it probably wasn't the best time to be making jokes, though Pete ended up doing it anyway. In 2016, Pete ended up poking fun at the natural disaster that ripped through his hometown when he said, quote, "Hurricane Sandy should have finished the job when it landed in Staten Island," end quote. As you can imagine, the joke didn't go over well with those who were affected by the devastation. He later went on to defend his remarks when he said, quote, "To be fair, I was raised there and Staten Island should share some of the blame," end quote. This caused him to face a lot of backlash, and though this has all since died off, there's always the chance of it resurfacing to cause more trouble for the comedian, so maybe he would prefer if this scandal stayed hidden in the shadows. At number 4, Manchester joke. You guys might remember the Manchester attack at Ariana Grande's 2017 concert. It was a bombing at one of her shows that caused mass casualties and injuries. It was certainly no laughing matter, but Pete Davidson still decided to make a joke about the terrible incident, and as you can imagine, it did not go over well. Looking back on it, this is probably something from his past that he would have wanted to keep hidden because it was so controversial. In the fall of 2017, Pete made a joke saying that after this attack, Ariana should have realized how famous she was because, quote, "Britney Spears didn't have a attack at her concert," end quote. This joke didn't go over well at the time, but a year later when it resurfaced after Pete and Ariana started dating, Ari defended her man, saying that he was just using humor to cope with the tragedy. Fans still weren't happy about what was said, and now that Pete has even more clout because of Kim K, if this joke were to resurface again, he could face more backlash than ever before. At number
3, Tic Tacs. During a segment on SNL while Pete Davidson and Ariana Grande were still dating, Pete made a joke about his relationship with the singer and trapping her in their relationship, and this ended up causing more backlash than genuine laughter. During the segment, Pete was talking about how Ariana was the breadwinner in their relationship and how he was just living off her wealth, and made a joke that he was trying to trap her in the relationship so that he could keep living like that. Pete said that in order to keep her around, he switched her birth control pills with Tic Tacs, saying, quote, "Last night I switched her birth control with Tic Tacs. I believe in us and all. I just want to make sure that she can't go anywhere." This ended up causing some controversy because fans said that not only should Pete not be able to control his girlfriend's reproductive rights, but that it was also hella toxic that he joked about trapping her. This is probably one comment that Pete wishes would stay hidden because judging by the fact that he is currently dating Kim K, people might think that he might pull a stunt like this again. At number 2, Howard Stern. There are just some things that you shouldn't share with the public about your relationship, and your intimacy is definitely one of those things. But Pete doesn't hold back with anything, and in 2018 he told Howard Stern about his private time with Ariana Grande. The comedian dished about the intimate time he spent with Ariana, saying, quote, "Anytime we're intimate, I'm always apologizing and saying thank you. You're awesome for doing this. Thank you so much." End quote. To make matters even more uncomfortable, Pete also talked about how before they were together, he would pleasure himself to the thought of Ariana Grande. It is a really weird and gross thing to say publicly, so this might be a comment that Pete wishes that he could keep from the public because it could reflect badly on him and his new relationship with Kim K. And finally, at number 1, Spotlight. In the past, Pete has reflected on the fame that he has as a comedian and just as a public figure in general, saying that he doesn't always like having all eyes on him. With that said though, some people have called those comments hypocritical because of the fact that though he hates the spotlight, he enters relationships with A-list celebrities. Now that he's dating one of the biggest celebrities, those hypocritical comments could come back to cause controversies, so maybe this is something that he could have wished was secret.
Coming in at number 10 today, we have Sarah Michelle Gellar. Back in 2014, Sarah Michelle Gellar definitely became Buffy the Kimye Slayer when she threw some serious shade at Kim Kardashian and Kanye West's first ever Vogue cover. Shortly after Anna Wintour approved April issue was revealed, Sarah would head over to her Twitter to say, "Well, guess I'm canceling my Vogue subscription. Who is with me?" While many fans agreed with Sarah's tweet, including me, Kim Kardashian's best friend, Jonathan Schnupp, would retweet Gellar's post and he would say, "Do you even matter?" Buffy fanatics would then even start to argue that she very much does. After much of a debate, even Anna Wintour would come out to defend her controversial choice to place the reality TV star and the rapper on her issue cover in the editor's letter by saying, "As for the cover, my opinion is that both are charming and touching, and it is, I should add, entirely our idea to do it. You may have read that Kanye begged me to put his fiancée on Vogue's cover. He did nothing of sort, but if you have to come out to claim something like this, it's most likely it was true." Coming in at number 9, we have Jonah Hill. In 2011, Jonah Hill would end up slamming the Kardashian family in an interview, but even after admitting he hated everything the family represents, he still can't stop watching the show. During the interview, Jonah would count himself among the ranks of those who are still keeping up with the Kardashians, but only with great reluctance. And he even was too duped by Kim's wedding, and he would even state that the show took money and attention from people in the television industry who actually worked to create compelling original programming. Also, in the interview, he would go on to note that the whole show was a giant joke, and then he went on to say, "The truth is, I have friends who work in TV, and Kardashians get higher ratings than their TV shows. That people actually work hard on writing and creating, trying to tell their stories. The fact that Kardashians could be more popular than a show like Mad Men, it's disgusting." But that doesn't mean he doesn't watch, as he would then go on to say, "I can't even understand it, so I watch it. I think it's funny and I definitely enjoy it in a making fun of sort of way. But where does the line sort of end? When do I stop making fun of it and become an actual fan?" And the truth is, you never actually do. Even fans aren't fans. We just find the drama so fantasizing because what kind of family actually has so much drama going on in their lives 24/7? It's just not healthy. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming at number 8, we have Lily Reinhart. Lily Reinhart spoke out against Kim after the Skims owner admitted to undergoing a restrictive diet to fit into a vintage Marilyn Monroe gown for the 2022 Met Gala after Kim boasted about her losing 16 pounds to fit into the iconic gown worn by Marilyn during the John F. Kennedy's birthday party. She was able to lose the weight in 3 weeks. Lily would then take to her Instagram story to call Kim out by saying, "To walk a red carpet and do an interview saying how starving you are because you haven't eaten carbs in the last month, old to fit in an effing dress, so wrong, so so effed on hundreds of levels to openly admit to starving yourself for the sake of the Met Gala, when you know very well that millions of young men and women are looking up to you and listening to your every word. The ignorance is otherworldly and disgusting. Please stop supporting these stupid, harmful celebrities whose entire image revolves around their bodies. Lily then noted, "I'm generally not an angry person, but I swear to God the toxicity of this industry sometimes really gets to me, and I have to head to my Instagram story to rant, to release my rage."
And at number 7, Barack Obama. Former President Barack Obama also couldn't hold his tongue when talking about the famous family, and it's definitely quite the compliment when the president is speaking about you. Or is it? The former president was talking about the changing dynamics of the American dream and how it's shifting with time, saying, "There was not that window into the lifestyles of the rich and famous. Kids weren't monitoring every day what Kim Kardashian was wearing or where Kanye West was going on vacation, and thinking that somehow was the mark of success." And ouch, here it's pretty obvious he was throwing some major shade their way. And he doesn't seem to like how they are now the standard for what success is. And apparently Kanye West did not like those comments and actually fired back at the president. But also, since Obama was a former president, I trust his opinion and judgment way more than Kanye's. And at number 6, Kris Humphries. Kris Humphries was someone who probably challenged the Kardashian family the most and exposed secrets about them I'm sure they did not want out. Kim and Kris got married in one of the most lavish televised ceremonies ever, but famously, after only 72 days, the couple split because Kim was having second thoughts. But based off how much content their reality shows got because of that relationship, then the breakup, Kris called Kim out for fraud, arguing that the whole relationship was just a publicity stunt. And their divorce was so messy it lasted 2 whole years before it was finalized. But during the massive trial, Kris exposed that a lot of the Kardashian show was scripted, and that the show purposefully made him look bad. Like when him and Scott threw a party in one episode while the girls were out of town, and they looked really horrible for going behind their backs when they told them not to have the party. The whole thing was actually just a huge sham, with Kim and Kourtney knowing about the party and acting like they didn't know for TV, in turn making Kris look like a terrible husband when it literally wasn't like that at all.
Number 5. Jordyn Woods. When news broke about Tristan Thompson cheating on Khloe with her younger sister Kylie Jenner's best friend, the whole world came to a stop, and people were truly shocked. Thompson was spotted at a party, and witnesses at the party claimed the basketball player was making out with Woods. But the series of events followed proved the situation was more complicated than that. After news broke, all Kardashian family unfollowed Jordyn, and Kylie even asked her to move out of her guest house that Jordyn was living in at the time. The sisters all claimed they helped Jordyn to be successful on her own, and she would be nothing without them. And this scandal was an ultimate betrayal for them. Jordyn denied the allegations at first, and Khloe can be heard yelling "liar" on a snippet that showed on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Jordyn went on to Red Table Talk to clear up the rumors and said when she was leaving the party, Tristan kissed her and she left. Jordyn during this scandal was bullied by the Kardashian clan. On social media, they also got some of Jordyn's closest friends to chime in on the situation. While Khloe blaming the star for ruining her family and not sharing the blame with her baby daddy Tristan, Jordyn went on to be excommunicated by the Kardashian and Jenner family, and both have since moved on to bigger and better things. Number 4. Snooki. Snooki appeared on Cocktails with Khloe for an interview. Snooki had a lot to say about her appearance on the show and ultimately said Khloe was being downright mean when they were talking about how they first met. On the show, Snooki explained that Kim had asked her to come over to her house, and Snooki accepted because she was obsessed with Khloe Kardashian. Upon meeting the star looked her up and down and asked why she was there, and it made her feel out of place. When Nicole brought this up to the star on the show, Khloe acted like she had no idea what Snooki was talking about and tried to play it off. Snooki then went on to say she left the house and was really upset by the whole ordeal. While fans are quick to chime in saying Khloe doesn't look like a mean girl, many noted that Khloe didn't give us mean girl vibes, but Snooki proved us otherwise. The two have since cleared the air, and Khloe came out with an apology saying she was sorry for her behavior that night and said, "Maybe I was jealous you were getting more attention. I have no idea why I did what I did." Number 3. Scott Disick. Who could forget Scott and Khloe's bond? While many thought this bond would be never unbroken, that notion ultimately came to an end recently. Their friendship over the years has definitely had had its fair shares of up and downs. With accusations and dramas, this friendship was fizzled out and Scott had a lot to say about it. With Kourtney moving on with her new man Travis, Scott knew his ex was happy and that her love was a real thing. However, he didn't want her family to leave him out in the cold like they had been doing. Scott told Khloe that being left out was super hurtful, especially while he doesn't have any other family to go to. However, instead of Khloe being supportive, she was more worried about Scott seeing PDA exchange between Kourtney and Travis. Scott went on to say he would rather be around them than not around his family at all. Since Scott has been pushed out of the family, he has since been focusing on his kids, but spending as much time with them as possible. Hopefully Scott can repair his relationship with the stars and they can work out their differences, because seeing Scott struggle to be a part of the family is definitely heartbreaking and no one deserves to feel like that. Number 2, Amber Rose. In 2015, Amber Rose's feud with the Kardashian family hit its peak when Khloe Kardashian decided to defend her sisters and family. The star decided to give her input on the rapper Tyga's relationship with Khloe's younger sister Kylie Jenner. Rose went on to say Kylie is a baby and Tyga should be ashamed of himself. He had a beautiful woman and a baby and he left them for a 16-year-old girl who just turned 17. Khloe decided to set the record straight and came to defend her sister by saying, "Don't worry about Kylie or her career, she is 17 and has it together." The star went on to say, "Please stop talking about my family in interviews, the 9 of us don't talk about you." Simply not letting Khloe get the best of her, Rose decided to respond with lengthy tweets, Khloe with the hashtag "Don't Panic," which is a song French Montana wrote. The feud between Rose and the Kardashians stems from her former relationship with Kanye West, and since Rose has never been scared to hit back at the stars with her own input of her own opinions. Number 1, Kim Kardashian. Say what you would like about the Kardashians, but it's clear Kris Jenner has done a glorious job, not only with their show's success, but the success of each of her children. The family likes to keep it real, and the feuds have always been the center of the show, especially when it comes down to Kourtney, Kim, and Khloe. But who can forget the infamous purse episode where Kim and Khloe found themselves in a really heated argument? While the Kardashians were rising to stardom, in this one episode the two stars found themselves in an argument after Kim purchased a new Bentley back in 2009. The altercation was captured during the second season of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and since has become one of E!Series' most quotable and viral moments. While the sisters Khloe, Kourtney, and Rob were talking about Kim over dinner in Rob's apartment, Kim was outside and heard them discussing her and making fun of her for buying a new Bentley. Kim ultimately came in furious, and the ultimate purse fiasco came to light, and the star could be seen yelling at Khloe not to be rude. Families fight, that's no secret, but family also sticks together, and Khloe always knows to come to her family's side, and that's something we can all admire.
And at number 10, Kim Kardashian's tape. This is truly the scandal that started it all, and the Kardashians arguably would not be where they are today without the release of this tape. Right before Keeping Up with the Kardashians was set to air on E!, the intimate tape of Kim and her then boyfriend Ray J was leaked to the public and went insanely viral. The Kardashians got in a legal battle to try and get it under control, but it didn't work, and the tape was eventually sold to a media company and released. Kim said about the tape in a 2012 interview, quote, "I'm not naive to the fact that that's pretty much how I was introduced to the world. It was a negative way, so I felt like I really had to work 10 times harder to get people to see the real me. I felt humiliated." In the years since its release, it's been long rumored that the Kardashian family leaked the tape themselves to drum up publicity and a storyline for the show. And if that's the case, it totally worked. And at number 9, Kylie Jenner's lips. Kylie Jenner was once considered the ugly duckling of the Jenner sisters, and she was not treated the same way as the rest of her family. Because of her insecurities, she's gotten a lot of procedures and has become unrecognizable from her former self. However, following all these procedures, she is now considered one of the most beautiful women in the world. Kylie's first procedure was lip injections, and it was hard to deny that there was a huge difference in the size of her lips basically overnight. At first, she denied it and claimed it was all lip liner, but the public isn't stupid, and we all knew it was a lie. Then later in 2017, she decided to fess up to the change and admitted she got lip filler because of an insecurity about the size of her lips. Later, she turned all the talk about her lips into a billion-dollar business, selling her Kylie lip kits, which was the first of its kind. And at number 8, Kim and Kris Humphries' 72-day marriage. Kim's lavish wedding was considered the wedding of the century, and there was even a 2-part special created on E! to celebrate the big day. But since so much content was created out of the relationship, many question if the whole thing was just for show. Those accusations got even worse when it was revealed that Kim filed for divorce only 72 days after their lavish wedding. Kris even sued Kim at one point, claiming the relationship was fraudulent just for press. However, Kim clarified on a May 2017 appearance on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen that she knew the marriage was doomed from the beginning. Quote, "I just thought, holy shit, I'm 30 years old, I better get this together, I better get married." And at number 7, Lamar Odom cheated on Khloe. This one truly breaks my heart because Khloe and Lamar were one of my favorite couples of all time. But sadly, this was when Khloe's bad luck with men would really start. It was revealed that during their marriage, Lamar cheated on Khloe countless times. They were married from 2009 to 2016, and in that time, Lamar claims he slept with hundreds of women. He claimed later that he had a sex addiction. Khloe shared her thoughts on the news in a 2016 interview with Howard Stern. Khloe said, quote, "I was genuinely blown away. Like, when did he fit that in? I don't know." Then in an interview Lamar did in 2017, he revealed that after he got married to Khloe, women came out of the woodwork to try and be with him. Lamar added, quote, "If there's one thing I regret when I was married, it was having multiple affairs with different women. That wasn't the stand-up thing to do." Lamar later said he would get back with Khloe in a heartbeat. And at number 6, Kendall Jenner's Pepsi ad. Being in a Pepsi ad is a really high honor, and tons of celebrities like Michael Jackson and Cindy Crawford had the honor to be a part of one. So when the opportunity was presented to Kendall Jenner, she jumped at the chance. But it ended up causing the biggest scandal of her entire career. She was a part of a protest-themed ad in 2017 because at that time the Black Lives Matter movement was being heavily discussed in the media, and there was a lot of tension between protesters and law enforcement. But of course, using an important social movement to sell a can of soda rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and Pepsi and Kendall got tons of backlash. Pepsi pulled the commercial and issued an apology, while Jenner told Vogue in March of 2018 that her quote intention was not to hurt anyone, but it's still a huge stain on her reputation.
At number 5, Lorde. In 2018, singer Lorde accused Kanye West of stealing her stage design. This was in response to a stage design that Kanye and Kid Cudi used for a performance at a music festival that summer that was pretty much identical to what Lorde used at her 2017 Coachella performance. The performers used an identical transparent box suspended over the stage as a focal point for their concerts, and Lorde was not having it. Lorde spoke out about Kanye's creative theft, saying, quote, "I'm proud of the work I do, and it's flattering when other artists feel inspired by it to the extent that they choose to try it on themselves, but don't steal, not from women or anyone else, not in 2018 or ever," end quote. She warned him against stealing, but also seemingly warned other artists about his stealing since this wasn't a new thing for Kanye. In the past, he's also been accused of similar plagiarism from 9 Inch Nails, and Taylor Swift has also commented on his stage design in her song Look What You Made Me Do. At number 4, Obama. Shortly after Kanye announced in 2015 that he would be running for president in 2020, then President Barack Obama had some thoughts on the matter. While speaking at a fundraising event, Obama poked fun at Kanye's presidential dreams, where he gave him some advice, like telling him he needs to, quote, "be cool with dealing with strange characters who behave like they're on a reality TV show," an obvious reference to Keeping Up with the Kardashians. He also poked fun at Kanye's outspoken nature in reference to his Twitter rampages, as well as his background of being a, quote, "black guy from the south side of Chicago with a funny name." Though it was all supposed to be jokes, there was also a message behind Obama's bit which sort of warned the American people against voting for someone like Kanye because he can't be taken seriously, especially in the world of politics. We saw this over this past summer at his campaign rally where things got out of hand, so maybe Obama was right. At number 3, Amber Rose. In October 2020, Kanye's ex Amber Rose came out in an interview accusing the rapper of bullying her for the past 10 years. She spoke out about her experience dating Kanye for 2 years, calling him a narcissist, and talking about how he's been speaking badly about her publicly for the past decade. She warned others about getting too close to the rapper, saying that unlike her, he has no compassion and attacks people. Going on to reference how he said he needed 30 showers after being with her, she called him out on that, inferring that this was not his mindset back when they were together, and saying that he, quote, "says things to make his wife more comfortable." The interview sort of pulls back the curtains on their relationship and shows how Amber has been dealing with it since they broke up in 2010. The fact that even though they've been apart for 10 years, she still gets bullied by him shows that Kanye has a mean side, and by coming forward about this, she's warning other people about getting too cozy with Kanye. Knowing this, it will be interesting to see what Kim might say after they get divorced. At number 2, Drake. In 2018, Drake called Kanye out for backstabbing and betraying his trust, and he warned others about Kanye's schemes to use others for his own gain. In an interview, Drake spoke out about his beef with Kanye and how Kanye leaked some of his personal information, as well as being used by Kanye to make his album. Drake said that Kanye invited him to Wyoming, where he convinced Drake to tell him some stuff about one of his upcoming albums. They bonded and Kanye gave Drake the song Lift Yourself, which he later released himself. Drake also told Kanye about his then secret son, Adonis. When rapper Pusha T released a song accusing Drake of not writing his own songs, he felt hurt and blamed Kanye for this leak, and when he pushed back, another song was released telling the story about Drake's son. This information was given to Kanye in secret, so he knew that he'd been betrayed. Now he and other artists know better than to trust Kanye. And at number 1, Kanye. This one might be a bit of a stretch, but just go with me on this one. I believe Kanye has been warning us about himself. Over the years, he's written songs that essentially paint him as someone with a god complex and a natural-born leader. Years ago, we would have thought that this meant that he thinks he's better than everyone else and that his music is superior. He and some fans see him as a pioneering force in the rap world, so maybe this thought came about because of the imagery that he created with his music, painting himself as such a lively force. But now, I think he's been warning us of something much bigger. Kanye knew that he was destined for greatness, but we didn't know what his plans were until now. He has his sights set on the White House, and what bigger title is there in America than president, the ultimate leader? Kanye tried running in 2020 and will try again in 2024, so maybe this is what he's been warning us about all this time of talking himself up. He's called himself the new Moses and says that he will lead his people out of the struggle. He's advocating for musicians owning their rights to their music, so maybe this is just the beginning of Kanye really acting on the leadership role that he's been hyping up for so long. At number 10, bribes. At this point, we all know that the Kardashians have a my way or the highway kind of attitude. They will get what they want by any means necessary, and we've seen this a few times over the Kardashians' respective careers, but one of the lesser known times that this sort of attitude came out was when Kris Jenner was trying to save her short-lived talk show. Mama Jenner dreamed of being a talk show host, but those dreams were sort of crushed when her talk show premiered in the summer of 2013. She got a series of reviews, and when she read them, she came across one that she really didn't like. One reviewer named Linda Stassi from the New York Post wrote a column about the show and called Kris a quote, "a demented Norma Desmond," end quote. Well, because Kris didn't like what Linda had wrote about her, she decided to send the writer a bribe of a dozen Magnolia cupcakes and a $325 sterling silver pen from Tiffany's, along with a note saying to write a better review next time. In the end though, this bribe didn't actually work because her show was cancelled not long after. At number 9, sweatshops. The Kardashians have faced backlash and scandal many times in the past, so really they're nothing new, but one of their more extreme scandals came from when one of their many clothing brands got exposed. In 2011, a Kardashian clothing brand came under fire after it was revealed that the garments were being produced by Chinese workers being paid 8 cents a day. Can you imagine these millionaires paying workers 8 cents? Insane, right? A non-profit organization called China Labor Watch, a group that fights sweatshops, released this information during investigation into the Kardashian brand. Of course, Mama Jenner came in and stepped in, and she claimed that they didn't know anything about that, going on to say, quote, "the factories are very well policed and meet factory standards," end quote. No one is talking about the factory standards, Kris. We're talking about basically not paying people for making clothes that you're about to sell for $100 a piece. That's the tea. Before we carry on dishing about the Kardashian secrets though, why not take a quick moment to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and while you're at it, maybe consider subscribing to the channel to see more videos like this one. At number 8, Kardashian divorce. Remember when Kim K was married to Kris Humphries? Yeah, that was kind of a blip in the Kardashian timeline, but hey, it still happened. They were only married for 72 days, but it was still messy, and their subsequent divorce was just as messy. The cameras for their show Keeping Up with the Kardashians showed off much of their tumultuous marriage, but the cameras were ultimately cut when it came to their divorce, but it wasn't for lack of trying. Kim wanted to film her goodbye call with Kris over Skype, where she was going to say her final farewells and tell him that she really loved him. But Kris saw right through Kim's attempt to get content out of their divorce and flat out refused, saying that he refused to ever be on another episode ever again. Honestly, I can't blame him for making that decision. At At number 7, Nanny Knows. The Kardashians have been exposed for a lot over the years by countless people. Honestly, this could be its own video in and of itself, if we haven't already done that. Anyways, one of the people that joined the Exposing the Kardashians club was the family's former nanny. The nanny, a woman named Pam Behan, exposed Kris for her parenting. Although Kris looks like a cool, fun mom, almost acting like one of the Kardashian sisters rather than a parent, according to the nanny, that is all a charade and couldn't be farther from the truth. Turns out that Kris was actually a really mean mom. She said that all of the girls were really shallow and even exposed Kris for being mean to Khloe and criticizing her for being overweight. On top of that, according to the nanny, Kris was also a stickler for healthy foods, saying that she was obsessed with keeping produce in the house, and she even exposed her for having a meltdown when she forgot to pick up broccoli. Now that is a very different side of Kris Jenner that we never get to see. At number 6, Private Investigator. Back to past Kardashian relationships, remember when Khloe Kardashian and Lamar Odom were a thing? Yeah, super messy, as most Kardashian marriages tend to be, but this one was ultra messy because it turns out that at one point, Khloe hired a private investigator to follow Lamar around to watch if he was cheating on Khloe. This was something that we didn't get to see on the family's reality show, but apparently the private investigator was hired to catch Lamar with at least 5 different mistresses. But why put all this effort into a supposed cheater? Well, it turns out that there was a specific clause in their prenuptial agreement that if one of them was caught cheating, then the divorce settlement payout would be larger to the other party. This means that with the help of her private investigator, Khloe would be able to get a higher settlement in the divorce. The things people do for money. At number 5, who started the show? The family's reality show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, has been on air for so long that it almost feels like it has been on TV forever. Obviously, it wasn't actually on TV since like the beginning of time, but it was certainly a staple in a lot of people's homes. This show really boosted the careers of all of the Kardashians, but who had the original idea for the show? Well, that's up for debate. According to Caitlyn Jenner, she wrote in her book that she was the one who came up with the initial idea for the reality show, not Kris, as many were led to believe. In the memoir, Caitlyn wrote that she told Kris about her idea for the show, saying, quote, "The house is awash in puberty and adolescence and young adulthood, and 2 parents with very different styles. It seems to me something is there for television." End quote. She then goes on to say that Kris then claimed to have come up with the idea for the show and then took it upon herself to pitch the show to Ryan Seacrest, and the rest is history. Talk about starting things off on a sour note. At number 4, Always Perfect. Kylie and Kendall Jenner are the babies of the Kar Jenner clan, and they were pretty young when they started to rise to fame. Because the cameras were always on them, and because they were starting to gain notoriety on their own, their mom Kris decided that they needed to look perfect at all times to make themselves and the family look better in the eyes of the media. In an interview with Cosmopolitan in 2017, Kylie opened up about this dynamic in her young life and revealed that Kris Jenner had nail techs come to the house every week to do the girls' nails to make sure that they looked as perfect as possible. Kylie said that because this was ingrained in her from such a young age, that this just became a habit of hers even going into her adult life, which is why we see Kylie flexing her new nails on the gram. In the interview, she went into further detail about having to look put together all the time, where she said, quote, "My mom would make us do it. She would have a nail artist come to the house once a week. She would make us get our nails done. She was like, you are never going to look like you're not put together, so we're always getting them done." End quote. At number 3, fake homes. You know how on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, when they start a new scene, a new place, they show the front of the person's house? Well, it turns out that's kind of a lie. The houses that they show in the reality show aren't actually the Kardashians' real houses. In the beginning, they used to show the front of the Kardashians' houses, but soon it became a safety issue as it made it easy for people to find them. Kim opened up about why they decided to use fake houses instead of their real exteriors, saying, quote, "My old home in Beverly Hills was really my home, and I would get people showing up at all hours ringing my gate, and I had to call the police on several occasions. People hopping the gate and scaring me. It was so unsafe. The Hollywood Star Tours would stop by too because they recognized my home from our show. After that, we realized how unsafe it was to show the exterior of our homes, so now we use different homes for the outside for security purposes." Though they do use different homes as the exterior shots, Kim did confirm that they do actually film inside of their real houses. At number 2, Original Goal. Keeping Up with the Kardashians became a mega hit where people just tuned in to watch the drama unfold with the Kar Jenners. I would be lying if I said that this show wasn't secretly my guilty pleasure. It's just so chaotic and I love it. But it turns out that the original purpose for the show wasn't just to simply keep up with the Kardashians. They had ulterior motives. According to Mama Kris Jenner, the original purpose for the show was to bring attention to the Kardashians' clothing stores Dash and Smoosh. Their store Dash became the focal point for their reality show spin-offs like Kourtney and Khloé Take Miami and Dash Dolls. During an interview with Variety in 2015, Kim shared how they wanted to use the show to grow their business, saying, quote, "When the opportunity for our TV show came about, I wanted to do it to bring attention to our stores. I was thinking this might not last very long, but will grow a great business and expand online. I thought it would be great press. I didn't think it would turn into what it turned into." End quote. Their stores ended up closing in 2018, but at that point they had so many other things going on and the show wasn't even boosting their business anymore, so really, who cares? And finally, at number 1, new phones. Even a pandemic can't stop the Kardashians from creating content. The 19th season of the reality show was filmed over the course of the lockdown, and it was all done from the inside of the Kardashians' mansions. How they managed to pull all of this off is a little crazy though. Because camera crews weren't considered to be essential workers during California's stay-at-home orders, the Kardashians had to get creative, and so they created a system where every week someone would bring them a new iPhone to film on. They had proper sets built in Kim and Khloé's homes with lighting in the whole 9 yards for their confessionals, but yeah, I still can't get past the iPhone thing. Apparently, a showrunner wearing head-to-toe protective gear would come to the Kardashians' home on Monday morning to bring them a brand new iPhone to start the next cycle of filming. These Kardashians are so crazy.
At number 10, Taylor Swift. Back in 2016, Kanye released a song called Famous that featured a lyric involving Taylor Swift that turned out to be quite controversial. Kanye's lyric essentially claimed that he and Taylor would have an intimate relationship because he made her famous. The fame in reference being to the VMA scandal. Remember that? Long time ago. Still in our memories. When the song was first released, Kanye said that he called Taylor before dropping the song to make sure that the lyric was okay and said it got her approval, but later Taylor's publicist came out to say that she was never made aware of the lyric saying that he made her famous. After Kanye was called out for lying, Kim K came out saying that she recorded the whole conversation and it showed that Taylor was actually made aware of the song, and so Taylor was called out for lying instead. Finally, a new chapter has come out which reveals that Kanye never disclosed the entire lyric to Taylor, and so that's why she called him out. This back and forth between Taylor and Kanye basically ended up with Taylor exposing the rapper for lying and warning us about the lengths that he and his wife will go to save their asses, even if they're wrong. At number 9, Chris Evans. I'm sure we're all familiar with Kanye's support for Donald Trump, at least before he decided to run for president himself. Kanye was seen sporting a MAGA hat in 2018 in a post on Twitter, followed by a tweet where he said, quote, "This represents good and America becoming whole again. We will no longer outsource to other countries. We build factories here in America and create jobs. We will provide jobs for all who are free from prisons as we abolish the 13th Amendment. Message sent with love," end quote. Well, after Chris Evans saw this and had to speak up. Denouncing Kanye's political beliefs and ideals, Chris tweeted a reply to the rapper's tweet where he said, quote, "There's nothing more maddening than debating someone who doesn't know history, doesn't read books, and frames their myopia as a virtue. The level of unapologetic conjecture I've encountered lately isn't just frustrating, it's retrogressive, unprecedented, and absolutely terrifying." Chris essentially warned us about Kanye's political beliefs as he called them absolutely terrifying, which they were, seeing as Kanye said that he wanted to abolish the amendment which abolished slavery. If you guys are enjoying the video so far, please consider giving it a thumbs up. We love seeing your positive feedback and it really helps out the channel. At number 8, John Legend. After another Twitter rampage about how much he supported Donald Trump, Kanye was getting some backlash from celebrities like Ice-T and Stephen Colbert, as well as John Legend. In a series of tweets from the singer, John spoke about how there are too many people in the world to ignore the presence of racism in society, seemingly pointing the finger at Kanye and his support of Trump's MAGA campaign. John went on to say, quote, "I love that great, brilliant artists have the power to imagine a better future, but artists can't be blind to the truth," and ending his Twitter speech by saying, quote, "The defining trait of Trump's campaign and political profile was his embrace of white supremacy. He made it clear every time he spoke, some serious cognitive dissonance to ignore that for the others you might find appealing," end quote. John seemingly condemned Kanye's support of Trump and how he was essentially fighting against the lives of so many Black Americans, and warned his fans about how dangerous this mindset can be. At number 7,
Kim Kardashian. This summer, as Kanye West went on a Twitter rant about his wife Kim, mother-in-law Kris, and even his kids, all eyes were on him and his family because of some of the things he was saying. It was believed that Kanye was suffering from some sort of manic episode as a result of his bipolar disorder. Kim Kardashian released a statement to address his recent online behavior where she said, quote, "He is a brilliant but complicated person who, on top of the pressures of being an artist and a black man who experienced the painful loss of his mother, has to deal with the pressure and isolation that is heightened by his bipolar disorder. Those who are close with Kanye know his heart and understand his words sometimes do not align with his intentions," end quote. Her statement about her husband's mental health was sort of a heads up to fans as well as the media that Kanye was experiencing a lot at this time and that his actions are sometimes taken out of hand because of his mental illness. It wasn't necessarily a warning, but more so some important information about the rapper as to not judge him too harshly. Kim's statement told us that he has this trouble sometimes and that we should be patient with him at times like these. At number 6, Kris Jenner. Back in 2016, after a bout of controversial tweeting and public scandals, Kris Jenner warned her kids to stay away from Kanye. 2016 was a tumultuous year for the rapper as he got into a number of Twitter beefs and was even hospitalized for a psychiatric emergency. Well, in an effort to distance her family from Kanye's drama, she advised her youngest daughters, Kendall and Kylie, to stay away from him and to not trust him. An insider told sources that, quote, "Kris has advised her daughters to not discuss any upcoming business opportunities or deals with Kanye, saying the less he knows the better." Kris was afraid that Kanye would try and make Kendall and Kylie doubt their business deals, make them feel guilty about their decisions, and give them bad advice. One of the reasons why Kris was so adamant about keeping her daughter's business away from Kanye is because earlier that year the rapper went on a Twitter rant about Kylie and her potential business deal with the brand Puma, where he said, quote, "1000% there will never be a Kylie Puma anything. That's on my family. 1000% Kylie is on Yeezy team." Kylie's partnership with the brand was almost ruined because of this, and so Mama Kris made sure that it would never happen again.
Halfway number 5, Kendall and Kylie's t-shirts. One of the many business ventures the Kardashians developed was a clothing line for Kendall and Kylie, simply named after themselves. The clothing line was pretty successful until the girls released an incredibly insensitive t-shirt showcasing the faces of deceased artists like the Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac Shakur. After the release in 2017, Biggie's mother, Valletta Wallace, called the sisters out on Instagram, writing, quote, "The disrespect of these girls to not even reach out to me or anyone connected to the estates baffles me." Paris Jackson also commented on how tone-deaf the release was. Paris took to Twitter and wrote in part, quote, "As a huge fan of Led Zeppelin, The Doors, Floyd, I mean these bands literally helped shape who I am today. I can't condone this fashion. Legends like these who completely changed our world today, not just the music world, should be respected and honored, not turned into this." A photographer who shot one of the images also filed a lawsuit against the Jenners, but it was dropped in April of 2018, and the sisters pulled the shirts almost immediately. And at number 4, Kim's blackface scandal. Cultural appropriation and blackfishing are something the Kardashians are called out for pretty often. The worst backlash on this subject was when Kim released a campaign for KKW Beauty, and fans accused her of blackface. This is because in the photo, her skin color was significantly darker than what we usually see. Kim immediately took down the photos and apologized. She later told the New York Times, quote, "I would obviously never want to offend anyone. I used an amazing photographer and a team of people. I was really tan when we shot the images, and it might be that contrast was off." Kim then re-edited the photos to be more natural, and the launch went off without a hitch. And at number 3, Tristan Thompson cheats on Khloe. Sadly, cheating is something that Khloe has had to deal with throughout her entire relationship with Tristan. At first, when they got together, everyone was thrilled and he seemed like a great guy. But then, right before Khloe was set to give birth in 2018, leaked video showed that Tristan was out cheating on Khloe at a club. At the time, she was 9 months pregnant, and sadly she learned that he was nothing but a cheater who was not ready for commitment. A source close to Thompson told us exclusively, quote, "None of his friends are surprised by this and they all know that he cheats." Then more photos came out showing him taking a girl into his hotel room late at night, meaning this was clearly a pattern and not the first time. Khloe decided to stay with Tristan for the sake of her family, but this would not be the last time that he publicly embarrassed her. And at number 2, Tristan cheats on Khloe again. The phrase "once a cheater, always a cheater" is most fitting here, because after getting back with Khloe, Tristan cheated once again. To make matters worse, he cheated with close family friend of the Kardashians, Jordyn Woods. After this, Khloe was quick to call it quits. A source said, quote, "This time it hurts even more because the person who it was with is someone who knows very much what Khloe has gone through in the past year." A second insider said that Thompson is, quote, "just a cheater and doesn't care about anyone besides himself, his wants and his needs in the moment." Jordyn went on Red Table Talk after the scandal and confessed that they did kiss, but nothing more. Then unfortunately, after some time apart, Tristan and Khloe got back together in August of 2020, but have split again since. And finally at number 1, Kanye's presidential run. This scandal is unfortunate because at first it had nothing to do with the Kardashians, but during one of Kanye's campaign rallies, he spilled some major secrets about his relationship with Kim. The worst was when Kanye exposed that he and Kim almost terminated the pregnancy with their first child, North. A source told Us Weekly that the Skims founder was quote deeply upset with Kanye for talking about their personal life and for making matters that are very personal to them and their family public. Then Kanye went off on Twitter, revealing even more secrets and even accusing Kim of cheating with rapper Meek Mill. 6 months later, Kim filed for divorce. Apparently, the pair had been living separate lives for many months, and Kim was just done dealing with Kanye's unpredictable behavior.
At number 10, college dropout. These days, the status quo for many of us is graduate high school, go to college, graduate, find a job, and eventually die, right? Well, many of us are challenging that these days, and Pete Davidson is one of those people. Pete is one of the many celebrities who started going to college but eventually dropped out to pursue his dreams. Pete graduated from Xaverian High School in 2012 and ended up going to St. Francis College for a full semester before eventually deciding to drop out. The comedian said that he wanted to follow his passion for comedy, and so he left college to dedicate himself to his craft, making being a comedian his full-time job. He serves as a good role model to anyone looking to pursue their dreams as well, even though it can be scary, especially when it comes to anything in the arts. Like my mom always used to tell me, follow your passion and the money will follow you. At number 9, war veteran. We know that Pete Davidson is a comedian on SNL. We also know that Pete can sometimes go a little too far with his jokes. Back in 2018, Pete was making jokes about his opinion on the US midterm elections, and he was alongside former Navy SEAL Dan Crenshaw for the bit. Dan is a former soldier who lost his eye in 2012 when an IED exploded. This was no doubt a traumatic event for the former SEAL, but Pete still decided to make a joke about it, though it didn't go over well. During the bit on SNL, Pete joked about Dan's injury, saying, quote, "You may be surprised to hear he's a congressional candidate from Texas and not a hitman in a porno movie. I'm sorry, I know he lost his eye in a war, whatever." End quote. Pete ended up facing some backlash over his comment, and even some of his SNL co-stars made comments about the nature of Pete's joke. Dan ended up getting revenge on Pete, as in the following week on the show he got to poke fun at Pete in return. Though back when this scandal originally happened, not that many people got upset, since he has now had his fame boosted because of Kim K. He risks having his past exposed again, and this scandal might be a secret that Pete wishes would stay secret. Before we carry on talking about some of the shady things that Pete Davidson doesn't want you to know about, why not take a moment to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and while you're at it, consider subscribing to the channel to see more videos like this one. At number 8, suspicious social media. The most dedicated fans are always watching their favorite celebrities' every move. Nowadays, celebrities can't get away with much without having their fans expose them, and this is how it was revealed that Pete can be a little sus online. Back when Pete had just started dating Ariana Grande, fans noticed something a little off about the comments he would leave under his girl's posts. An example of this comes from back in 2016 when Pete commented under his then girlfriend Cassie David's post, saying, quote, "I love you so much, Kaz, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I find new things to love about you every day." Fast forward to 2018 when he was dating Ariana Grande, when he left a comment on one of her posts saying, quote, "Hi, I'm the luckiest contest winner ever," end quote. Some fans found it a little weird how he used the word luckiest so much. It could have just been a coincidence, which is what I believe, but other fans thought that the word repetition could indicate that he was disingenuous with his thoughts and comments on his partners. This could be a stretch, but don't come for me about it, blame the fans. Pete could want this to all stay a secret because fans might catch on to Pete's true nature if all that they're saying is true. At number 7, engagement ring. Speaking of past partners though, let's talk about the time that Pete Davidson and Ariana Grande were engaged. Fans were a little sussed out when they learned about the timeline of Ariana and Pete's engagement, because it turns out that Pete had reached out to a designer about getting a ring for Ariana, suspiciously soon after he and Cassie David had split. Though news of the engagement broke in June of 2018, Pete and Cassie's split broke the news on May 16th, 2018, but according to celebrity jeweler Greg Yuna, Pete had hit him up about an engagement ring for Ariana at the end of May. That didn't leave much time between the breakup and thoughts about marrying another person. Fans thought that this was pretty suspicious and could prompt theories as to what Pete might have been doing behind the scenes. Perhaps this is a secret that Pete would want to keep hidden over risk of being exposed and cancelled. At number 6, Cassie David. Pete Davidson's relationship with Cassie David, the daughter of comedian Larry David, was Pete's first high-profile long-term relationship. Cassie and Pete started seeing each other in May of 2016, and they went through a lot together. As any couple does, they had their share of struggles, but it eventually eventually got to the point where they just couldn't carry on in a healthy relationship, and so they broke up in May of 2018. In 2020, Cassie published a collection of essays titled No One Asked for This, where she opened up about her breakup with Pete, recalling the struggles that the both of them had with their mental health during their relationship. Cassie was devastated when she and Pete broke up, but because of Pete's struggles with his mental health, she had to do what was best for her and let him go. Cassie also exposed the fact that she and Pete broke up the day before finding out that Pete and Ariana were together. The end of Cassie and Pete's relationship was pretty painful, as you could no doubt imagine, coming out of a 2-year-long relationship, but according to sources, they are friends now and that works for them.
Halfway at number 5, Kylie Jenner. Kylie and her beauty brand were dragged into court after she was sued by Seed Beauty, the company that helped her formulate her Kylie Cosmetics products. The lawsuit came about after Kylie sold a majority stake in her company for $600 million to Coty. Seed Beauty believes that the new Coty deal is opening the door for Coty to steal Seed's formulations for themselves. In the documents obtained by TMZ, Seed says they've been providing their valuable recipe to makeup success to Kylie for years now, and with this new deal, their formulations are at risk of being distributed to Coty, their competition. Sources say the lawsuit is a little ridiculous since the Kardashians are most likely not successful because of their products, rather their insane social media presence. In at number 4, Kylie Jenner. Another lawsuit involving Kylie Jenner is actually on behalf of her daughter, Stormi Webster. Kylie went forward with the suit after a company called Business Moves Consulting filed to trademark, quote, Stormi Couture a month after Kylie and Travis Scott welcomed their baby, Stormi Webster, seemingly trying to take advantage of her name, which is incredibly unique. Kylie also filed her own trademarks for Stormi, including one for Stormi World. But after doing so, she was hit with a lawsuit from the same company, Business Moves, because they claimed that they filed the trademark first for Stormi Couture, and people would be confused. Jenner's asking the trademark office to cancel the other company's trademark because it seems like they only got the trademark to capitalize off of her daughter's name. Kylie says Stormi has, quote, achieved fame in her own right, and points out that her Stormi World birthday parties have been covered by major media outlets like Vogue. As of now, it doesn't seem like there's been any updates on the case. In at number 3, Kanye West. Kanye West was caught up in a lawsuit when a former associate of his was sued for forging Ye's signature. West's former friend and good music associate, Malik Yusuf, was sued by company Gentle Monster for claiming that Kanye West would create a promotional video for this company. Yusuf allegedly scammed the company out of $2.5 million. The company says that Yusuf even set up a meeting between Kanye and a rep for the brand, making it seem like Ye was on board for the whole thing. Kanye allegedly had no clue there was any type of business deal in place. Kanye was also not the only celebrity in this scheme. He also claimed Pharrell, Jaden Smith, and others would help out with this project. Apparently, the scam was an elaborate 9-month plan that included forged signatures and fake invoices to make the documents seem legit. And at number 2, Kim Kardashian. App developer David Liebenson is suing Kim Kardashian for $100 million over her very successful Kimoji app. The developer claims that he and Kim made a joint deal to work on the project together, but she left him high and dry. The plaintiff claims that he and his business partners created an app called Censor Out that caught the attention of Kim, and after she got in touch, they decided to partner on Kimojis. In the legal documents, Kim agreed to give him and his team 60% of the project. But right around when Kim filed for the trademark, she decided to back out of their deal. He's suing Kim for at least $100 million for breach of contract, fraud, and for the profits he believes he's lost out of by being left out of this Kimoji partnership. And finally, number 1, Kanye West. Kanye West's clothing company, Yeezy Apparel, was sued by Jordan Outdoor Enterprises after the company believed that Ye ripped off their design. Specifically, the company believes that Kanye copied their camo hoodie, camo thigh-high boots, cargo pants, hooded bomber jackets, shirts, and boots. The lawsuit claims that Jordan has distinctive markings on its Realtree line, and Kanye's companies ripped them off. To make things even shadier, the suit alleges that a rep from Yeezy contacted Jordan about using his camo patterns. But when Jordan said that Yeezy had to license these items, Kanye's reps all of a sudden stopped responding. Then, surprise surprise, Yeezy comes out with very similar camo patterns. Jordan Outdoor Enterprises is suing for damages, but also wants to stop Yeezy from selling the products in the future and to turn over any unsold inventory. In a statement, Kanye's camp said, quote, "There's nothing original or protectable about the Jordan outdoor gear in question. It's unclear if this lawsuit has been resolved."
At number 10, we have Larsa Pippen. Everyone knows Larsa and Kim Kardashian as her ex-best friend. But between the constant drama, the star caused a rift between the Kardashian family by speaking on private family matters. When Larsa spilled the tea about dating Tristan Thompson, the Kardashian family was ultimately not happy, mainly because it made their sister Khloe look like she wasn't as innocent as she seemed. In an interview with Hollywood Raw, Larsa said she was seeing Tristan and had come to LA where she brought him to a party Kim was hosting. While at the party, Larsa introduced him to all the Kardashian-Jenner sisters, and then 10 days later, he started seeing Khloe. Unfortunately for Larsa, the Kardashian family didn't believe her claims about Tristan and have since cut her out of their lives for toxic energy and behavior. The Kardashians have since claimed Larsa lied about dating Tristan, but with all that was revealed in her interview, I think it's safe to say she may have been telling the truth. Number 9. Chloe Grace Moretz. Back in 2016, when Kim was having her own celebrity feud with Taylor Swift, Kim posted her supposed proof that the singer was lying about knowing Kanye's reference to her in his song. As fans went crazy, Chloe was left feeling annoyed. She then took to Twitter to say, "Everyone in this industry needs to get their heads out of a hole and look around to realize what's actually happening in the real world." Khloe Kardashian then went to post a series of pictures of Chloe and a back shot with an unknown woman in a similar bikini to Chloe, with the caption, "Is this the hole you were referring to?" Moretz then hit back at the stars saying, "The first photo was me and neighbors too, and the second is a girl who was wrongfully photographed." Not backing down, Chloe then went to defend herself against those who criticized her for attacking the 19-year-old actress by saying, "I'm the last person to be a bully, but I have an animal instinct to protect and defend my family." As much as I support the notion to protect your family, bullying and making another woman feel bad about herself is never the answer. If you're enjoying this video so far, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Number 8. Taylor Swift. Now, Taylor Swift has had this ongoing feud with the Kardashian family, and Khloe has never been scared to state her opinions on the matter, and when new drama arises, you can definitely see Khloe in the center of it. The feud has been going on since 2016 over Kanye West's track, Famous. Taylor claimed she was blindsided by the lyrics, however, Kim came forward with a voice-recorded messages which stated otherwise. Later, Taylor would say that Kim edited and manipulated snippets of the phone calls. When Kim came to say Taylor was lying, it definitely was a shock when Khloe chimed in with her own opinion, proving everything Taylor has been warning us about the sisters for years. Taylor broke the silence by responding to the sisters' words instead of answering those who are asking how I feel about the video footage that leaked, proving I was telling the truth the whole time. The star then went on to say the call was illegally recorded and someone edited and manipulated the recording to frame the star. With Khloe always quickly to chime in on new feuds, the Taylor Swift feud indicates that Khloe just wants to be the center of attention and will insert herself in any family feud that comes to light. Number 7, we have Jeffree Star. If anyone knows the tea in Hollywood, it's Jeffree Star, and when Jeffree and Shane Dawson were set to review Kylie's new skincare line, which they hated, Shane mentioned the infamous tweet by Jeffree Star where he dragged Khloe after she was cheated on by Tristan Thompson. Just to recap, when news broke of Kylie's ex-best friend, Jordyn Woods, hooking up with Tristan Thompson, when the news first broke, Khloe was pregnant with her first child, True. Jeffree, pretty much being neighbors with the Kardashians, decided to input himself into the center of the drama by saying, "Learn to co-parent on a healthy level and stop acting like your man isn't trash either." He then went to Snapchat to say Tristan and Jordyn had been seeing each other for over a month or two, and it wasn't just the first time. Jeffree noted that all of Hollywood talks and that he was given this information by hair and nail stylist. Jeffree's not afraid when it comes to inputting his knowledge on scandals in Hollywood, and you can always trust him to back up his information, especially when it comes to the Kardashian sisters. At number 6, we're bringing in Caitlyn Jenner. Khloe and Caitlyn used to have a good relationship, however the pair fell out following Kris and Caitlyn's divorce in 2015. This came just after Caitlyn transitioned in her interview about her marriage to Kris Jenner with Diane Sawyer in Vanity Fair. In the interview, Caitlyn revealed the star wasn't really supportive of her interview or her transition, which was a really heartbreaking time for her. While Kris was was left feeling disappointed, Khloe stepped in to say that Caitlyn essentially did her mother dirty, and Caitlyn really had nerve when she said, "What happened to families sticking together?" Overall, both stars were left feeling heartbroken, as before the interview, the Good American co-founder and Olympian were notoriously close prior to Caitlyn's transition, especially since the star was really supportive in the beginning about the transition and told Caitlyn to do whatever makes her happy. But then didn't talk to Caitlyn for the next coming years. Caitlyn continues to have a challenging relationship with her stepdaughters, however it seems her and Khloe are finally back on good terms. As Khloe stated, she talks to Caitlyn once in a blue moon, but since they're both really busy with their schedules and the pandemic, the stars ultimately have no more beef between each other. Number 5, we have Rebel Wilson. In 2015, Rebel Wilson would slam the Kardashian family's meteoric rise to fame in a candid live interview. In the interview, the Pitch Perfect actress said she was frustrated that she had to work so much harder to get to where she is and where she wanted to be by saying, "It's not that I hate any of them individually, but it's just that everything they stand for is against everything I stand for, and they're not famous for talent. I worked really hard to get to where I've gotten to." Rebel didn't even want to be on the stage with the family's 2 youngest siblings at the 2015 MTV Music Video Awards when she said, "I got asked to present with Kendall and Kylie at the latest VMAs, but I said no, I'd rather do it myself." She then went on to compare Kim Kardashian to her own acting experience by saying, "They aren't really about talent. I mean, how Kim got famous was from an X tape, and I went to acting school and worked really hard." Number 4, Reese Witherspoon. In 2011, America's sweetheart Reese Witherspoon was really ready to talk some trash when she went on a rant against certain breed of celebrities when she was at the MTV Movie Awards. When accepting a Generation Award from Robert Pattinson, the actress railed at the celebrities in vain of the Kardashians and Paris Hilton and other celebrities when she said, "I get it, girls, that it's cool to be a bad girl, but it's possible to make it in Hollywood without doing reality shows." While a dig was definitely made towards Kim Kardashian and Paris Hilton specifically, Reese would also go on to say, "When I came up in business, if you made an X tape, you were embarrassed and you hid it under your bed." Reese would then go on to say another Hollywood trend she is tired of seeing is the leaking of celebrity nudes photos, and she would even caution those who end up taking them to cover their face so they didn't become the next Kim Kardashian.
And at number 3, Wendy Williams. If you watch Wendy's show, which I definitely do on occasion, she spills the tea like nobody else, then you know she does not like the Kardashians and is always very blunt when talking about them. But Wendy got the spot of a Kardashian hater when she made some shady comments about Kim after her robbery incident. And when talking about the incident in Paris, Wendy said, "I would hope that she's not making any part of this up for dramatic effect. Because this family, you know, they're kind of soulless. You can't believe everything that you hear." But this was very, very upsetting. And although I do not agree with Wendy at all that the Paris incident was a publicity stunt, a lot of people did feel that the incident could have been exaggerated by the family for views, with people citing numerous times in the past that this has happened with the family. And again, I do not agree, but I mean, she just brought it up as kind of a possibility, and obviously, she loves to shade them whenever she can. And at number 2, Blac Chyna. Blac Chyna is another Kardashian ex who was ousted from the family after her and Rob's relationship ended. And you know that whatever went down was bad, because the family is still nice to Tristan and not Chyna, even though Tristan is arguably way worse and embarrassed them so much more. The first of the feud was surrounding the fact that Kylie started dating Tyga, who was Chyna's ex. Then Chyna started dating Rob, and then the two got engaged and then pregnant very quickly. But after they had Dream, the whole thing fell apart and Chyna and the Kardashians were facing off on social media. Chyna even filed a lawsuit against the family, claiming that they stopped her show Rob and Chyna from getting a second season. A judge dismissed that case, but Chyna still shades the Kardashians whenever she can. And at number 1, Anna Wintour. This last one is something that I had no idea existed, but it's probably the shadiest one of all. So Vogue is one of the most prestigious magazines to be on the cover of, and Kim Kardashian and Kanye West were put on the cover in a very controversial move by the magazine's editor, Anna Wintour. When talking about the criticism, she noted that it would be a misstep to ignore the couple's influence, and she made the choice to lead and deal with the backlash rather than follow. And all of that praise to the couple is, you know, all well and good, until she gives them quite a backhanded compliment, saying, I think if we just remain deeply tasteful and just put deeply tasteful people on the cover, it would be a rather boring magazine. Nobody would talk about us. And although I totally get what she's like trying to say, calling the couple, deeply untasteful is definitely more than a little shady. But I mean, if anyone can shade anyone, it's Anna Wintour. She can shade whoever she wants. Alright guys, let me know what you're thinking about this one below. Which celebrity do you think was the shadiest, and how much do you trust the family? As you guys know, I personally love them so much, but I can also see times when it seemed that getting publicity is all that they really cared about. In at number 10, Blac Chyna. Blac Chyna's 2017 lawsuit against the Kardashian family will finally be taking place after years of stalling. In her $100 million suit, Chyna accused the family of prematurely ending her reality show, Rob and Chyna, and damaging her reputation by claims they made in the media. The planned 10-day trial comes years after the initial filing, and names Kim Kardashian, Khloe Kardashian, Kris Jenner, Rob Kardashian, and Kylie Jenner as being responsible for the demise of the show. Chyna also lists Ryan Seacrest and other producers on the witness list. Chyna claims that Rob and his family wanted to destroy her and her reputation after the breakup. Chyna states that the couple was in the process of filming season 2 of the show, but it was abruptly halted. The Kardashians claim the show ended because Rob and Chyna split, and because Chyna was physically harmful to Rob during their relationship. In at number 9, Kim Kardashian. In May of 2021, it was leaked that Kim Kardashian was being sued by her staff for unpaid wages. And the more you learn, the crazier the claims seem. 7 members of her staff are suing Kim for not providing the workers with meal breaks and failing to cover any expenses incurred on the job. The employees claim that when they were hired, they were told they would be considered full-time employees. But after they started working, they were labeled independent contractors and treated as such. This meant the staff were not given any benefits of full-time employment. Kim is also being sued for, quote, failure to pay overtime wages and for unfair and unlawful business practices. Although Kim's reps claim it's not her fault, as she hired a third-party vendor to handle the maintenance on her property, and they should be suing this vendor, not her. In at number 8, Kendall Jenner. Kendall Jenner has gotten a lot of backlash because of her tequila company 818, and now some of this backlash has turned into a lawsuit. 818 is being sued by competitor brand Tequila 512 for allegedly ripping off 512's branding. 512 claims in their lawsuit that it's a cheap trick for 818 to copy its shtick by using an area code as its name. 818 is named after the San Fernando Valley, and 512 is Austin. 512 also claims the design and color scheme of the bottles was intentionally made similar to confuse customers. There's even a strange twist in this suit that involves Kim Kardashian. In Kim's mobile app, Kim Kardashian Hollywood, there's an emoji designed for Kendall's 818 tequila brand. But this emoji looks exactly like the 512 brand. Whether the mistake was intentional or not, it gives way to the theory that people easily confuse the two brands. And at number 7, Tristan Thompson. So we all know that Tristan Thompson cheats on Khloe Kardashian a lot. So much so that when any woman comes forward claiming that she hooked up with Tristan, the media generally believes her. However, when Kimberly Alexander accused Tristan of cheating and fathering her child, he took her to court for libel, claiming that was a lie. In the end, the test results determined that it was a lie, and Tristan was awarded $50,000 in damages. She will also have to pay close to $3,000 in court costs. Plus, she will be forced to pay 10% interest until the full amount is paid off. Tristan was seeking $100,000 in damages at the start of the trial, claiming the false allegations he fathered her child hurt his reputation and cost him endorsement deals because companies saw him as a brand hazard. The judge halved damages because Tristan didn't specifically lay out which endorsements he lost due to Alexander's allegations. And at number 6, Kris Jenner. In 2020, Kris Jenner was hit with an insane lawsuit. They claimed that she was inappropriate with a security guard that was hired to watch over her and her family. Kourtney was also involved in this suit, and the bodyguard, Mark McWilliams, claims that both women were inappropriate with him. McWilliams claimed that after being hired in 2017, he became subject to a, quote, pattern of unwanted and unwelcome sexual advances and other harassing misconduct from Kris. Also claiming she made suggestive comments towards him about his appearance and asked him private details of his life. He also claimed that Kris massaged his neck, shoulders, arms, and back without his consent, among other physical contact. Kris's lawyer, Marty Singer, tells TMZ, quote, Kris categorically denies ever behaving inappropriately toward Mark McWilliams. The security guard worked outside the house and he never even went into Kris's home. The Kardashian lawyers claim that McWilliams is a disgruntled employee who was fired after being caught sleeping on the job. Halfway number 5, Rebel Wilson. Rebel Wilson revealed on a radio show that she was presented an opportunity to present an award with Kendall and Kylie Jenner, but Wilson ended up turning it down, with her saying in the interview, I got asked to present with Kendall and Kylie at the recent VMAs and said no. It's not that you hate any of them individually, but it's just that everything they stand for is against everything I stand for, and they're not famous for talent. I've worked really hard to get where I've gotten to. And even though a lot of people who dislike the Kardashians share the same sentiments, Oprah Winfrey actually came to their defense against Wilson, if you can believe it, with Oprah saying that she couldn't believe how hard the family works, referencing when she filmed The Family for Oprah's show, with crews taping The Family for 7 hours straight, and then they filmed more of their reality show after. So, as we all know, the Kardashian family really works very hard, even though it doesn't seem like they do too much. And at number 4, Bette Midler. After Kim uploaded her incredibly famous nude selfie where she covered her, nether regions with just like black bars, the internet went ablaze talking about it. One of the people that didn't hold their tongue was Bette Midler, who tweeted out, "Kim Kardashian tweeted a nude selfie today. If Kim wants us to see a part of her we've never seen, she's gonna have to swallow the camera." Which, come on, you have to admit, it's pretty hilarious. Like, even if you like the Kardashians, it's a good tweet. As a clapback, Kim tweeted out that it was past Bette's bedtime and that she was a fake friend. And Bette responded back, "Looks like anyone can take a selfie, but not everyone can take a joke." And then she lightened the tension by posting her own nude. When talking about the feud later, Bette had no hard feelings and said she takes Twitter pretty lightly and hoping that Kim did the same. Hopefully Kim wasn't actually too peeved about that. I mean, come on, it was clearly a joke. I don't know.
Number 3, Jon Hamm. Jon Hamm and Kim Kardashian's feud all began when Jon sat down for an interview and said, "Whether it's Paris Hilton or Kim Kardashian or whoever, stupid is certainly celebrated. Being an exploitive idiot is a valuable commodity in this culture because you rewarded it significantly." The quote found its way back to the Kardashians, who responded by saying she respected Hamm and his right to have an opinion, but we're all working really hard and we all have to respect one another. Calling someone out who ruins their own business is part of a successful TV show. Producers, writes, designs, and creates. Stupid is in my opinion. Jon would then come out to clarify that he didn't mean to personally offend Kim Kardashian. He's just not a really big fan of the culture she represents. When he said, "It's surprising to me that it has become remotely a story. I don't know Miss Kardashian. I know her public persona. What I said was meant to be more of a persuasiveness of something in our culture, not personal, but she took offense to it, and that's her right. My quote was simply about the version of television and the version of American culture being celebrated, and it's not something that I particularly enjoy." Number 2, Joel McHale. Back in 2018, Joel McHale would land a new weekly show on Netflix 3 years after E! Pulled the plug on his pop culture show, The Sue. After he made a slew of jokes, Kris Jenner wasn't happy about it. Joel, who dished the dirt on E! From 2004 to 2015, told Variety that his streaming series will in some way be similar with its use of clips from television shows among the pity commentary. Reflecting on his years on The Soup, he would also speak about how one of the network's own shows, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, eventually became a no-go area for him, and he would say when Kris Jenner would complain about our jokes, and then later the president of E! Networks would simply ask McHale to lay off the Jenner and Kardashian family for a week, and then the administration and the president told him to his face, "Don't make fun of the Kardashian family. We don't want you to make fun of the Kardashians." Joel then went on to say that the network really wasn't happy when The Soup started to make fun of Kim, as they always joked about how Kim was only famous for having a big peach and the infamous tape, but I mean, they aren't really wrong. Number 1, Jeremy Renner. Back in 2012, Jeremy Renner would join the growing list of celebrities who have expressed an extreme distaste for the Kardashians. In a recent interview with the UK paper The Guardian, the actor would even claim that he never wanted to be famous, and while discussing the pitfalls of fame, he would unleash his disdain for the reality TV family. When the Kardashians' name was mentioned in the interview, Renner would reportedly roll his eyes and then call them ridiculous people with zero talent, who spend their lives making sure everyone knows their names. He would then add, "They are stupid, stupid people," which makes it definitely safe to say you'll never catch Jeremy spending his weekend binging on episodes of this famous reality TV family show. However, whether you like them or hate them, it seems like if you want to get your foot into Hollywood, you have to get on this family's good side, so you might just want to be careful when it comes to making comments about them, because you never know who might be watching.